called your children of time.
Patience, my brethren.
The Great One is all-seeing. All praise to the Great One. The Great One is all-seeing. All praise to the Great One.
I'll deal with them in a minute. Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. I've had a nice rest now. I've at least had half an hour before streaming again. So good to see you all. But as you know with my streams, different panels, different people, different formats. Never the same twice. And tonight, I think it's going to be barnstorming. Let's just say that. So welcome to my Children of Time, I call it. It's the under 35 panel, barring me, of course. I always feel like some dodgy child catcher from Chichi Chichi Bam Bam. That's me. But I kidnap under 35-year-old Whovians, take them out of time, Baruza style, and assemble them like character options figurines to answer for the latest RTD episode of Doctor Who, The Reality War. And in this case, I've got a big question, haven't I? Is this the best you can do, RTD? So, just a quick reminder before we get them on, because they're champing at the bit. They're almost... I've had to get the dummies out early. So basically, our Who Night, as you know, was the start of a quartet of shows. There's a lot to catch up on and a lot to talk about, as you know. Remember, if you're new to us, I call it the Russell's Children of Time because he keeps going on about Doctor Who being the top drama for under 35. So I thought, right, I'll get my under 35s in. Let's see what they think. Can't be fairer than that, can you? So, that's the plan. And of course, I've got my creche together of troublesome Whovians. I can never sort them out. I don't know whether I'm going to be Barusa Brendan, bullying them. I don't know whether I'm going to be child catcher Brendan, who's actually going to try and scare them into kind of obedience. I don't know whether I just have to soothe the atmosphere. Maybe tonight I have to soothe the atmosphere. I get a nasty feeling I might try and have to calm things down. So, as you know, I'll get them on. They need to verify themselves because I need to check they're allowed in this creche. I do more checks than I do for people going into classrooms regarding ages. Yeah, some people get in and they're about 35. Right, so let's get them on. So, first of all, hello, Brendan Noble, don't you know? Over 35. Shut it. Okay, let's get Sean on from Middlesbrough as well, and let's get the verifications going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sean. I'm 33 years young, and I'm thinking I'm going to be channeling my inner dear Smith. I don't think anyone's going to, from outside the UK, you aren't going to get a reference. But I was just watching the episode, just thinking, to the best Doctor Who fans in the world, come on, RTD, where are you? Let's be having you. Terrible. I can't. I think I'm broken, Brendan. I think I'm broken.
I thought you were channeling the dead because he didn't come on for ages. I thought, oh my God, he's not coming on. But anyway, I thought you had a better offer. And let's go across the pond.
The longer you wait, he was on our drink.
So let's get Sonny on. Verification. Are you allowed in my creche?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Captain Sonny Waffles, the young blood, age 27. And aren't you happy we got the best finale of RTD2? RTD2, the best finale ever, dude.
Somebody was saying in our YouTube comments from Saturday saying they're in hysterics just at your understatement when you said something like, I'm not happy.
That was my first impressions. Now that I had time to sleep, I can make a face.
All right, that's very good. Well, it is a creche. Next week he does sentences, right? So I mean, we're building up, right? And this creche is bad enough, but getting Ryan on, I mean, he really is. I mean, potty mouth himself. Here he comes. So, hiya.
Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm from Northern Ireland. Ready to go. Freshly caffeinated, masturbated, the whole 9 yards. I'm ready to go tonight. I'm sure it'll be fun. There'll be a lot of laughs. There'll be a lot of anger issues coming out, I'm sure, but we'll have a good time doing
Anger issues. I might cause one now. So I've got them all assembled. So here they are. This is what it looks like. Our Children of Time creche.
Jesus Christ, Brendan.
I hate that one. I hate that one.
Sorry.
Do you know what,
So there
Brendan?
we go.
RTD has given us enough nightmare fuel. Don't need you to add to it.
Sorry. I have to
This
cheer
is like
myself
this is one of the therapist office. And they're showing you clips of don't honestly.
I should contact all your parents and get the proper pick. Right, so Paul Thomas, thank you very much. We're off and running. Brendan, can you put RTD in the creche with the dummy? Good idea. I promise you I'll be onto that. Yes, definitely. And I'll certainly get the Hoopets in action. So thank you very much. It's a generous, never assume it. Thank you.
Yeah!
That's it. That's the end of them. They're dead. So great to have the creche on. I suppose we should get on to the first item, which is basically well, let me get going. Here we go. So there's the creche. You heard them in action. A bit noisy, but as you know, with our shonky chats, we need to save some of the Hoopets. So Paul's done his bit by giving us some money. Can the shonky chats save him? And look, it's Nobby the Nobot who's in trouble this time. Don't ask who that is in that kind of gear, but you know, there you go. So that's what we're talking about. Can you save the Hoopet? Or is he going to get the chop?
By any chance did you get that outfit from the Bone Palace?
That's Jamie. That's Jamie.
I think there was a bone palace going underneath it. Sorry.
There was no bone palace that day, Sean. As Jamie will tell you, it was a very cold day. So
well, you know.
There was frost on the ground. So anyway, Nightmares time. Now, Nightmares is obviously, just to cheer everybody up for a second, we're Doctor Who fans after all, and we like the monsters, villainy, suspense, tension. And Ryan, our pal here, he dabbles with so many things. So of course, Ryan, what are you going to introduce to us this week?
Oh God, I've got another treat for you this week, actually, because you've seen Ruben the Rootin last week.
Yes.
So this week, I am showing you something from the updated season 25, the cyber warship from Silver Nemesis that we used.
Gosh, look at that.
So yeah, again, similarly, like this was all 3D printed by myself, designed by Chris, 3D printed by myself. Then there was a few bits and bobs that were done to it. Chris. Done a few jobs with the painting and stuff, and then it was tidied up on the day. On the film, I know there is this little panel that comes out. We did stick LEDs and everything up here for filming, so all of the little windows, they do light up. And just one of those really cool little effects that we tried to update. That's personally one of my favorite from season 25, because I do think it is a big improvement over the original. But no, it came out pretty well, and I'm now very happy to be the owner of it. But it has, I know one of these got smashed off and it had to get fixed. So Chris done a very nice job fixing that, because I think it fell off his shelf. But yeah, I got it because I swapped Chris because that's what I would make this for Chris. And, you know, that was for, like, he paid me to do it, like, you know, and he kept the thing. But we done a trade a couple of months ago. I had a very lovely model of Thunderbird 2. He wanted a Thunderbird 2. So I was very happy to do a swap for that. So that's how I ended up getting hold of that. Because before that, the only models I got to keep were Davros's escape pod and the TARDIS that was used for Greatest Show in the Galaxy. So I now own 3 of the models, which is nice.
Well, thanks for that, because if you all have your season 25 Blu-ray collection, obviously on there, they added so many parts to the upgrade, and on Silver Nemesis, they were adding loads of material. And of course, once I've gone past those shots, there you go. That's basically what that model is of, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
really
it.
Good.
That literally is that model.
Yeah. Yep. So there you
Okay,
go,
this
everybody.
has added many, many millions
That's
of
right.
them. But yeah, like we literally filmed that against a blue screen down in a little theater in Belfast. Like all the new stuff for season 25, it was all filmed in Belfast, which is really cool because I think apart from us, like we are the first people ever to film any Doctor Who in Northern Ireland. As far as I'm aware.
Right. Well, there you go. So, right, as you know, Ryan is good crack, and of course, he's got some good little pieces to show us every time he comes on now. Really, so that's
I
really
just
good.
keep teasing you.
Exactly, exactly. I think as Doctor Who fans, that's what we need. We need to see a little bit of this. So, and just to give a shout out to your company, there you go. You were just posting this today, weren't you?
I was, thank you very much. Know that there is a few of my little Titanic models that are getting ready to go out. Well, actually, they've already went out to customers. I think one of them's away to the Netherlands, one's away to Germany, and one's away to Canada. So that was this week's ones, and there's still another couple that go out this week.
So he's a handyman to know. You know, I can't say I know he's got. He said last week something might be coming up, Doctor Who wise, and
Who knows? Who knows?
So let's just check on those nightmares though a little bit more since we are Doctor Who fans after all. And could Wokey be for the chop? If we don't get any shonky chats, is Wokey for the chop? Anyone guess which classic Doctor Who story this is from? It's shocking, isn't
It's
it?
not the
It is
Deadly Assassin. No.
Deadly Assassin. It's the creature from the pit. It's that
I'm
big
guessing.
green, the big green blob.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. The big green. And of course, no one messes with a sense for you. There's he could be in trouble as well. So you know, we have got them all pinned down in various positions, ready for trouble. So we're off and running with our what the F item, and so I think this is what you've all been waiting for when it's gonna actually start to kick off. So let's just do the music. Cue the what the F. Okay, so I've got loads lined up, but actually I think everybody's waiting to hear what you've got to think first. So, Sean, are you ready? Everybody wants to know, what did you think of the reality war? What the F?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. Getting the Blu-ray and everything. It was like a really bad version of Stolen Earth, and instead of like a who's who, it was a who's not. I just didn't care about any of the characters. That was just absolutely dreadful. It wasn't as scorched earth as I thought it was going to be, but it was boring. It was like it was just so. It was like they had like all these effects, and all of a sudden there's a scene where there's like 30 characters in a room, and it's like why are they all stood there? Like that scene at Unit where they're all just stood there while the Doctor talks, and I thought tonally, we'll get into it. It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen in terms of in terms of like Poppy, and I didn't understand why the Doctor didn't like. Well, it's not the Doctor, is it? But we'll get into it. But it was just baffling. And then when I saw the ending, I think I said, well, we had a chat, didn't we, Brendan? Actually, because a bit of therapy, I think. But it was literally when I saw that ending, I put my head in my hands. I was like, oh no. Like, it's just become an absolute laughing stock. It's it's become like that snake that eats its own tail. It's just too much. And I know a couple of people who are still watching it, and one person in particular really enjoys it. And even he was like, I got to the end of the episode, and I was just like, and he was like, "Oh, f off." That was his reaction, and I thought, my God, they've broken you. Like, and if they've broken you, so it was just a mess.
I mean, I'd made notes again tonight. In the first 22 minutes, as you say, it was just standing still, talking, and so many magic tricks. Now, Ryan, I'm coming to you next because you weren't on Who Night on Saturday, so everybody I'm sure is dying to know what you thought.
I'm not even joking. This is one of those ones I could sit here for an hour and talk continuously and completely rip this entire episode apart. It was.
Have you seen that
It
comment?
was
Have you seen
genuinely
that?
one of the biggest messes I have ever seen, not just in Doctor Who, but in TV in general. It was an absolute travesty. And yet again, yeah, we get another season finale set in that boring unit control room. Yay, flipping. Yeah, it was Zoo Tech Part 2. That's what it was.
I know it's gone.
And yeah, basically within half an hour of it being started, the two main baddies are gone. Omega's in it for like a couple of minutes. It's not even the proper bloody Omega. And then the last 20 minutes is some reshot nonsense where, quite frankly, the Doctor actively completely changes somebody's own timeline to save somebody else, and yet that's okay. Like, don't get me wrong, I can understand why he wanted to save a kid, but see, he also did completely change somebody else's timeline to suit that. And
Yeah.
I am stealing this from another reviewer, but I'm really sure they say Poppy in that episode 57 times, I think is the exact count. It was a mess.
And I think if you add to that when Jodie Whittaker started saying, I'm popping out and I've popped in, and so there was more popping and poppy. I to change somebody's timeline, and it's nepotism because he's going, well, it's my child, so I'm going to save them, until he found out it wasn't. And so basically, I'm going to save Poppy, and I'm going to change the whole of the universe by a degree for one person. That's nepotism, for God's sake. Meanwhile, some other kid on some other planet, because of that degree, would not live or not survive. You know, hello. By the way, can I just say, Alan was somebody's kid in Robot Revolution. The one who became a sperm and an egg, and he couldn't give it. He did a high kick when he died. So, Poppy, we have to save Poppy. But Alan, bye, sweep him up.
Even though, but the thing is, it was never addressed that same kid was in Space Babies, and it was never addressed.
Ruby tried to bring it up, and she got shut down. She brought it up, and the Doctor was just like, no. And then just the whole, but it's not your daughter. Like, how dare you? I'm like, oh, shit, Greta. You know what I mean?
Literally, this thing is not even holding together at the seams. Like, I called it last week. I pretty much knew from last week that this week's was going to be a mess. It was even worse than I thought it was going to be quite honest. It was an absolute mess.
Well, I've lined up lots of stuff to take us through, so don't worry. But Sonny, just to round up the quartet, your thoughts and since Saturday on What the F?
Yeah. The main issue with the episode is I'm not rewarded as a fan for watching it. I've watched all of season 2, and I didn't watch season 1 because I knew it was going to be bad. So the Poppy stuff is very forced for me, and the Belinda stuff was completely overwritten, right? And I was saying the whole time Belinda was terrible, and he just proved why. The episode, more so than the whole season, was anti-God, and as a Christian, that stood out to me. Like, it was blatantly anti-God. Like, he's laughing in God's face. He's saying he's better than God. He can do things that other people can't because he's God. That's not right. The only good thing I found was the Ronnie bombing her stand-up set when she was like, oh, the baby's not pure, and then all of unit kind of laughed. That was kind of funny, I guess. Other than that, it was just bad because Conrad made a perfect world. It was beautiful. Everybody had a family, everybody was happy, but nobody was grateful. Just look at Mel. She was a spinster. She had no family for some reason, but she was happy. Then in this episode, she goes, I was a housewife. No, you weren't. What are we talking about? So,
was all the disabled people happy?
And she did. She went from being a housewife to a woman who had a perm, and I don't know if she was happy at all. So
she was happy the whole time.
Well,
There's no likable character.
I've got loads of questions for you all. Loads of questions because my head is spinning. Like everybody in the thread since Saturday, we're going, what really happened here? So I've got loads of questions. So I'll spin through some of these just to get us started, lads, right? So the first one is with Billy Piper returning, I ask, are we closer to the Doctor having had sex with himself?
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like he basically regenerates into his ex.
Yeah. And they've been together in other productions. So mind you, and it's not as far away as you think because, of course, the Jodie Whittaker Doctor, number 13, said to number 15, "You're beautiful," and you thought, "Oh my God, find a room and go and make love to yourself." What is this? Yeah, mad. So basically, here's your first question. Billy Piper is now appearing. Oh joy.
Do you know what gets me right? This isn't serious. Like it's a gimmick. They've thrown it in last minute. It's so obvious to be like, look, please a little bit of attention as we get swept off the front step like you know, like an unwanted piece of dog shit. Like they're like, please, they're trying desperately to cling on, and you're like, no, just go, just go. Like it's absolutely like, and everyone's like, oh, it doesn't say as the dog at the end. Do you really care? Like, do you really care? Like, is that what we're reduced to? As Doctor Who fans go, oh, it said Shutigawa as the Doctor. It said Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. #fam forever. It said introducing Billy Piper. You're like, yeah, and everyone's like, oh, is it Rose Tyler? I'm like, well, she doesn't sound like Rose Tyler. Like, and they broke the fourth wall again. Oh, hello. I was like, oh my God, is that pantomime? It's absolutely ridiculous. People are going, oh my God, oh, I think it could be great. Oh, this, and you're like, oh, just like,
oh, I know. And you hear about in the cinema. You hear in the cinemas are all cheering, and I thought, you know, performances. The garbage hour moderator.
Yeah, because it finished. That's why. Yes, it's over. It's over. It's like when you do. It's like when you're on a particularly bad plane journey.
People who
you almost
like I do have a couple of friends that really, really enjoyed it, and I'm just sitting there going, like, I'm sorry, like, and even though these are people that I class as friends, if you actually genuinely enjoyed this as Doctor Who, you're an idiot.
Well, there's some John Yulden, your comment, thank you very much for your super chat, I appreciate that, but your comment there later on, I've got the photographs in unit. I was inspired by Mel to drive my car into the lift at work. My boss was not impressed. Honestly, I mean, I've got the slide, like I said, I'll show you it later, but yeah, why? I thought this was unit headquarters, a top security establishment, and she gets an orange scooter. I mean, honestly, but thank you for that, John. Thank you very much. And Randy Howell, same again. Thank you. This will end with Billy Piper merging with David Tennant to regenerate. The shippers will froth at the mouth in glee. I will just go New Who. Yeah, New Who is eating itself alive. It's like, ugh, boring. But as Garbage was just saying, is that Matt Smith with Billy Piper? No, Garbage asked the wrong question. It's Doctor number 11 with Doctor number 16, apparently.
See, like, the fact is, like, the biggest problem isn't even the fact that they left that with, like, Billy Piper at the end. The problem is with the show having a very uncertain future, that's how you're going to leave it. Like, that very well could be, and I'm sorry to say, I know what some people will say, oh, it's coming back in 2027. Well, we'll see. But if it doesn't, that is the last shot of Doctor Who right there.
But Sean, not Sean, I mean, I always do this, don't I? Ryan, one of the things is somebody said, isn't that a lovely bookend that New Who in 2005 started with Rose, the first shot, apart from the Earth, and then it ends with her. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Well, whoever said that's an idiot, quite frankly. I don't care. That, honest to God, like, I am, like, that is me now done. Like, I have tried, like, I really did try. And like you know what, even I will give the first half of this season credit. They were doing things better than what they'd done in season 1, and then towards the end, it literally just drove off a cliff and burst into flames. Like, I genuinely do not know. Like, don't get me wrong, Russell, like, RTD1, like, his writing was never fantastic, but like, I genuinely do not understand how somebody can write something this awful and convoluted. And like, obviously the last 20 minutes, as we know, everything was all reshot, but in doing that, you've left so many. Like, what about Susan? Like, that was just a plot thread that went nowhere. You know what I mean?
Well, obviously, these are just my quick little spouncy bits, and I will come up with a lot of what you were saying there. But as I bring in Sunny, I wanted to say, Sunny, I was talking to Joe Chapman earlier today. I've seen her in the thread there. And as I was talking to her, I said, this shot here, do you know what would have been more stunning? Got all the fans talking and not have taken too much effort, is not to do this, but to get a very good shot of Michael Jaston as the Valeyard, and you get a shot where he turns into the Valeyard, and then it's the end of the show. And yes, it's a lovely tribute to Michael Jaston. We all know as Doctor Who fans that one day the Doctor has to be the Valeyard, and you leave the trick there. Wouldn't have that been more satisfactory?
They could have actually just ended the whole show, and I would have been singing the praises. That would have been godlike, bro. That would have been so good. Because apparently there was a Valeyard reference in the Interstellar Song Contest. Apparently, the final song, she said Valeyard. I didn't hear it. That's what my sources said, my pirate crew. But other than that, it fixes a lot of the plot holes too, the out of Doctor moments. We were saying this Doctor was becoming the Valeyard. I would have loved that, but this actually just makes me upset because she's even wearing his dress. Like, why didn't the clothes change?
Because
those are still his arms.
That is Shooty Gatwa's body. They just superimposed her head on his body.
Well, they might as well have done Michael Jaston as the Valeyard, just laughing, and that's it. Next question.
Oh my gosh, that would have made me.
Next question then. With the return of Omega for, I think, 3 minutes, I was so excited, from his sewers hanging out with the giant rat from Talons of Wen Cheyenne and maybe some invasion Cybermen, I ask, why didn't they bring the chicken back?
Like, you know what? The only thing I will give credit for that was the effect of the massive skeleton was quite cool. Like, it was well done. But like, there was like, it was cool. It was good CGI. That's all I can give it credit. It was good CGI, but God, it wasn't Omega. You know, like, in my head canon now, it wasn't even Omega. It's like some, because they were the way they were talking about myths and all that. Like, that is basically a myth of what Omega was, maybe. But no, friggin' Omega's still in Amsterdam.
Well, yeah, and you know, the Ergon, I think, wasn't it? The chicken, bring back the chicken. My other question then is, when you saw the trailer for the war between the land and the sea, and we saw the new Sea Devils, my question to you is, have they redesigned the Sea Devils for merchandise purposes?
No.
Well, because look at these.
I'm not even joking. You know what happened? I actually missed the trailer because, right, it opens up obviously on like the water at the end of Doctor Who. I had switched the TV off, and I just went, oh no, but I didn't even see it until later on, so I didn't, and I was like, all right, okay, and oh my God, you know what? You couldn't have put that trailer in a worse place than after that episode, and then you're trying to plug your nice new shiny spin-off, and it looks like the most dull, boring shit I have ever seen in my fucking life. Like, my friend was over the other day, and I said to him, compare that to the trailer for season 2 of Torchwood, or even a trailer for the Sarah Jane Adventures, for crying out loud. And the fact is, like, I assume that this is the Sea Devils. Maybe this is another off branch. But the fact that literally, 2-3 years ago, we did have a Sea Devil
Yep.
in a Judy Whittaker episode, and they still very much look like a Sea Devil. What the fuck is that? Is RTD basically looking at this going from the point of, can I make this fuckable? And I'm not even joking whenever I say that. Can I make this fuckable? Because I think that's exactly the road he's going to go down, where his lead actor is going to want to basically be in with one of these.
I'm going to have him on the naughty step, Sean. I mean, it's clear, isn't it? But Sean, Sea Devils, are you up for this?
I couldn't give a single flying fish. I couldn't give a fish. I could not care any less if I tried. Like,
Kipper?
no, what? Like, who the hell cares? Yeah, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Is anyone bothered? Who's watched the last couple of series of Doctor Who and thought, oh, yeah, that's really got me going? Like, well, no. But it's terrible.
Well,
absolutely. It's absolutely dreadful. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
and we all know what it's going to be about. It's going to be like her and that, whatever his name is, character, the one by Russell Tovey. And they'll probably fall in love, and it'll be like love across differences. And I dread to think what other.
Fins,
Oh, absolutely.
Well, what about this question then? We had the Rani back, and she had a plan. With the Rani saying she would use the body of Omega to resurrect the Time Lords, I just ask you, lads, what body? What body?
Exactly.
He was a giant skeleton.
I mean, just
it was into what? What was the machine? What did she build?
She do fuck all apart from just delivering just delivering lines. She done nothing and turned people into a couple of chickens. That was about it.
But RTD, he's just talk about rewriting canon. He's just completely blowing it apart. I'm sorry, but that's who.
It was full of holes all over the place.
But he knows he's doing this, Sean.
Yeah, no, I know, but we need to stop. Like, I know this is like trying to tell a fish not to swim. But we need to stop being so logical about it, Brendan. Like, literally, like, he doesn't care. Like, there was so many plot holes in that episode. The Doctor kept saying, I'm the last of the Time Lords. I'm like, you just told them that you were what's that word they keep using? You told them you were a foundling and all this. And, like, a million times. And you're like...
Can someone please explain to me, though, by the way? So the Time Lords aren't dead. They're just sterile now. Even though the Master completely annihilated Gallifrey?
Yeah, because of some genetic explosion that they kept waffling on about that has not been mentioned all series, and suddenly it's genetic explosion here, genetic explosion there.
Poppy, how did he have a kid then? If he's sterile, how's he had a kid? It was a very... That was one of the worst things of the episode for me. I told you this, Brendan. It was so tonally out of place. You were like... Sorry, mate, go on. Yeah, go on.
That's why Poppy was so important. Sean? No,
shut up.
That's why Poppy was so important, because he can't have kids.
Shut up, man. I'll like.
But they should have explained Susan if he really cared, because they brought her up in the Interstellar Song Contest. From my perspective, they should have at least explained that, because if you're a Doctor Who fan, you know he has a granddaughter, right? That was like episode 1.
Yeah. But it's just whatever. They don't care. Why should I?
Well, we'll continue. This is just our warm up, everybody. But thank you, Michael Neiman. Yeah, talk about a whopper. RTD's written a whopper here, hasn't he? I mean, honestly. But thank you, Michael. And here's your generous kind of question. Is there any data on the breakdown of demographic of who's left watching? 60% long-term fans, 70% new normies. I just don't think there's anyone large demographic left to appreciate the Valiard. True, I know what you're saying, but what I was trying to say, Michael, when I was talking to Joe about this, is it needed to jump out of New Who. We're just in this kind of vicious circle that the producers, the showrunners, the writers, almost every actor. I mean, how many parts has Rose, Billy Piper played in it? Can we jump out? See,
my thing as well, like, number one is Russell T Davies doing this intentionally for number one? Number two, why, like, and I said this the other day, if I was the controller of the BBC, and obviously I had knew what was going on, why this was being made, why did nobody step in and go, Russell, you can't do this, mate? Like, you cannot do this. But I don't
Because you'd have to be a very brave man to say no to me.
Or is
But
he
also-
just gonna go like, oh, darling, everything's going to be great. I've got this elaborate plan. It's all going to be great. I'm just like, oh.
I think it's also because it's Doctor Who, and it's been going a while, and it's that complicated little geeky that sci-fi show, and the BBC executives kind of go, "Oh, he's waffling on about Sutek, apparently." Yeah, then it's gobbledygook to them, so he gets away with murder by just going, "Oh, I've got all these ideas," and you think he's just blinding them with nonsense. There you go. John Yulden mentioned this earlier. There's that scooter. I mean, honestly. It was like one of those Levi's jeans adverts where he comes into the office, picks up his girlfriend and drives off and then goes, wow. But this is, I mean, we've talked about breaking the fourth wall, but this was Doctor Who just pretending it was so many different things. We had the Back to the Future, you know, fire on the tarmac. And it was not Doctor Who. It was just trying to be
tacky.
Everybody else.
Yeah, I think it's very tacky and forced. Is like you said, it's almost like an advert. Like, what are you trying to sell me?
Well, doesn't Unit, that massive skyscraper, have a car park? I mean, there's no car park. My other question, though, is, and I have to say, I think Unit's got a problem, lads. Why is it that everybody who appears in Doctor Who, Kate Stewart offers them a job at Unit? I mean, I have to say, I watched it, as we all did. Rose Noble appeared because, you know, Conrad was a bad man and hid her. But when you saw Rose Noble, she just stood around like, oh, there's the baby. Hello. She didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And anyway, I thought she had when he gave her a job to do eventually, and he said, can you do the biosync for the transmat nonsense? I mean, and then she went, oh, yeah, all right, I'm on it. And I'm thinking, she normally is doing shoplifting in Catford. That's a bit of an upgrade.
Well, how does she know how to do any of this? I think it's because Kate Stewart is secretly evil the whole time. That's why she's microchipping her employees, and she's trying to sabotage Unit from within. She's trying to tear down her father's legacy. That's my theory.
It just has stunned me. It stuns me no end that this nonsense that he's pretending is called Doctor Who. Do you know what, lads? I think I need to remind you what Doctor Who did look like, and it might shock you that it was also written by RTD, but you watch this and you realise, is this the same universe as the Reality War?
You're going to see all sorts of things. A trip of a lifetime.
Doctor Who, Saturdays at 7.
You're the most remarkable man. Don't you think she looks tired?
Sack Russell T Davies, sack Jane Tranter, sack Phil Collinson, sack Julie Gardner, and I'll come back. Just don't like being associated with those people and the politics that went on in the first series. The first series was a mess, and it wasn't to do with me or Billy. It was to do with the people who were supposed to make it.
Remember when it was good?
Sonny, where'd you go?
It's all right. What?
Oh, he's dead. Anyways, you know what? People have been putting up that video all week of Chris saying that.
Yeah.
And it's true. The man is right. The man is completely right. Get rid of them. Get them out. What this show needs now is one of two things. One of them I don't want at all, because this show now has it has three options. Continue on as it is now, and it won't. Number two, do a complete reboot. Or number three, literally get every single person who is everybody new in who is making this show. Let it rest for 3 to 5 years. Bring an entire new team in and basically strip it all back. You don't just strip everything back. It doesn't need to be this overly complicated mess. Just strip it right back. Have it the Doctor in the TARDIS with a companion fighting monster of the week. Have your Dalek, Cybermen stories, whatever. It just needs to go back to being simple Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You don't need world-ending events at the end of every bloody season, or just do an entire run where Paul McGann is just do a whole season or two with him just before the Time War really gets going. But
yeah, because we all know from the Saturday show that basically for 22 minutes there was just explanation, and it was very static. It might as well have been in a theatre. And you had explanations for that. I tell you what, he was so smug at the end of that episode because, of course, he has to regenerate. And to be quite honest, if it wasn't for Anita and the Time Hotel door, the magic door, he couldn't have solved anything, because it got him back into the Wish world. It got him back to see Poppy and Belinda. It got him back to UNIT. It opened the door to fresh air of normal time to make them all see things again. I'm sorry, but without Anita and that very strange Time Hotel, and may I say, was she perving on the Doctor? She goes to the 3rd Doctor. She sees the 11th Doctor. She opens doors everywhere. Is she Clara too? I mean, what sort of hocus? If I was the Doctor, I'd be saying, "Can you just back off if you don't mind?
Yeah.
You'll be in my bedroom."
The problem is being serious here for a second. What self-respecting actor is going to want to take on this role now?
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I mean, Ryan, it goes. No, it's a bigger problem than that. Like, going back, people keep saying it needs a rest, it needs a reboot, it needs this. I think it's dead in arrival. It's flatlined because the BBC, as you've said, they've never really understood it in the upper echelons. They didn't want it back in 2005, but RTD convinced them and successfully got it off the ground. But they didn't believe in it in the first series. You could see they didn't. So then you're looking at, right, the BBC are thinking, right, well, it's tanked in the ratings. It's absolutely tanked. It's dead in its ass. So we're not going to. I don't think they'll bring it back. Because what are they bringing back? They never believed in it when it was successful. They just kept it on.
But
Hang
on
a sec. So they're not gonna. Go on, mate. I can't finish my point, but go on.
Yeah, the point. But if they were good, it was actually good in 2005, though. Like the Face of Bo stuff into the Jack Harkness stuff, even just in the trailer, there were connections there that made sense, that told a story. There were likable characters. If it's done well, even if the BBC doesn't want it, it will gain popularity. It will be good. If they just got out of their own way, took out the agenda stuff, stop going crazy over it, and just make good TV again, people will come back and watch it instantly. I don't even think it would be dead.
I don't know something else.
I think people will give it a chance.
This is also this.
How many chances do we give it? How many chances do we give it? This isn't like the Wilderness Year. I mean,
People always give it a chance, though. Every reboot at the start of the season, they gave Gatwood a chance, they gave Jody a chance, and if it's bad again, we just stop watching.
Hold on,
you're kidding yourself.
We're going over each other a lot there here. There's a bit of a kind of time lag, so just be careful that that we're not kind of cancelling each other out a little bit. Well, as I was showing you, that there was some questions. There's more to come though. Look at this one, lads. Belinda was shortchanged. If you think of what happened to her in this series, Rose destroyed the Dalek Empire. Martha freed the Doctor, Donna saved reality, go down that blooming list, Belinda held a baby. I mean, RTD doesn't, he loves his companion arcs. He can't even land them very well anymore. I was actually getting irritated with Belinda by the end because she kept saying, but where's my Poppy? What about my Poppy? What about my, and I just thought, all right. But this is not about, and of course he did that ridiculous trick that every time she was in the TARDIS saying, I want to be back home on the 24th of May. In the end, it wasn't for her NHS shift. It wasn't for anything. It was, he rewrote it and said it's because she wants to be back for the baby. And it's just, I don't want to be wasting my life being tricked by that nonsense anymore.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slap in the face.
Go on, you first, Ryan, then Sonny.
I was just going to say it was a bit of a slap in the face. Like, you're completely right. It just felt completely shoehorned in, and well, it's a bit shit. What does that really say? It is a bit shit. Like, was there? You don't want just to be. We're now putting you into this box. You have to be a mum now, even though you didn't choose to be, and you have to be this now because I had to save the universe, and you just have to be the consequence of that, I suppose. But it would have been more interesting if the Doctor actually acknowledged that, oh shit, actually, this is a pretty horrible thing I have to do here, but I'm doing it for the greater good. I don't know. Regardless, it was a load of bloody nonsense.
Sonny?
Sorry,
Sonny?
go ahead.
Yep.
I never liked Belinda, and this proved RTD never liked Belinda either, to the point where he had to tack on 20 minutes at the end to give her a whole character arc that we should have just had throughout the season. Like, why not just make that the whole season? Because it was tacked on at the end, most likely, or because he truly can't write. Either way, this proved everything I've been saying about Belinda.
And that was only tacked on for him, really, wasn't it? To finish off and lead to his regeneration. It wasn't for her, was it?
It had to have been. It had to have been because he had no reason to even die. And so we had to use Poppy, who just showed up randomly in the story of the engine, from my perspective as a season 2 fan, right?
Yeah.
That's where she really showed up. So,
Sean, I was going to bring you in on another question, which is all this Disney money, all this money we've spent, and is it just to kind of have merchandise moments? I mean, we heard that in the cut scene, because they had to rejig everything, that basically in this season, all you'll have seen is Vlinks was some sort of glorified nightclub DJ.
I mean, it's not a very good question, no offense, because what merchandise? There is no merchandise, it's dead. I have my bloody Barbie doll, it's not selling. It's not selling. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the audience. I apologize. I'm not very funny this week. I don't think any of us are. It's not a very funny stream because we're all just pissed off. Like, I think we've all come to the end and we're all just like, I can't be bothered anymore. Like, and I'm sorry. And I know it's awful to sound, but Doctor Who's dead. It's dead. They've buried it. They've put the headstone on. It's not going to come back. The BBC probably won't exist by the time this comes back, by the time they try. It's gone.
Well, they're actually
done. It's finished.
They're talking about adding a bit of subscription to the BBC next time round, as in there's a core you have to pay, and then there's a sub. They now realise that there's a mess going on. But lads, come on, let's kind of be positive, because look at this. We had a multi-doctor moment. We had 13 meet 15, and they were arguing with each other about who was the best doctor ever. And I thought, I think you've got the wrong people in the room.
Yeah, I'm only speaking for myself on this one, but yeah, get two of the most disliked doctors in a room together and go, oh yeah, we're so great, aren't we? Yeah. I'm sorry, but the fans don't think that's... Now, don't get me wrong, both of them have their fans, but compared to even modern, like even other New Who doctors, they're at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Like, and
That's why they're there.
It's just, yeah, so you know what? None
That's
of the
why they've
rest
done
want
it.
to come back to this shit.
Yeah. That's
Sonny,
why they're there. That's why they've done it.
Sorry, I know Sonny had his hand up. Coming in, Sonny.
It's only there so in the future when people look back on it, they can see them patting themselves on the back. And when we have worse doctors, you're gonna say Jodie's not that bad, Gott was not that bad. That's the only reason it's there. So when people forget about this,
worse doctors, worse doctors.
Yeah,
what we're gonna
literally,
what, we're
but
gonna put
it can get worse.
We're gonna put a fez on a cat.
Oh, you lack imagination.
It can get worse. It can get worse.
Yeah. 100%. I promise it can get worse. Let's watch the next Doctor.
Jinx Monsoon
Look,
is
Doctor
the
Who
next
was a
Doctor Who.
If Doctor Who was a pet, it will be riddled with all sorts of stuff. Doctor Who's metastasized. We need to put it down for its own good. Like it's too much now. Like, how much worse can it get? But they seem to be finding the bottom of the barrel is like a false floor. So we'll see. But it's gone anyway. It's finished.
I know if you list it and say
God.
it's Billy. I know if you say Billy Piper's the person he turns into at the end, and we know there is a trick. If you do your slow motion, he disappears. There's a split second, then she appears. It's not the same body. And I think we're all onto it. I've got my theory later on. It's coming in this show, and I'll show you it, lads. As in, it's a detailed one.
TARDIS console shenanigans.
Yeah, but there's a big detailed one that's been kind of, the leaker that's normally correct. So I'll show you that later. But Chris Lyoli, first of all, before I miss out, because my thread tonight is on fire. If only Capaldi saying hello. Oh, I know. Can you imagine if it was a doctor of gravitas? Mind you, then it would be a waste, Chris Lawley, because he'd only be there seconds. But thank you for being so generous. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. And I'm sure we've got a...
Yeah! Woohoo!
So thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think... He was doing every trick you could do, but there were the wrong tricks. Like, yes, you could have had Capaldi or Davison or McGann or somebody. Mind you, it's already been done with Power of the Doctor, and Chris Chibnall did it at the end as well. How many times do we do this? I think it's law of diminishing returns. The British public or the American public who've seen it all before, seen the flashbacks, will go, is that it? Really?
Yeah, remember whenever a multi-doctor story used to be a special event? Like, we've had 3 in the last 3 years, or 4 years, whatever.
Yeah, I know, it's a nothing. It's nothing. Next trick, RTD. What's your next trick? Oh, Billy Piper. Yeah, been done before. All right, what's next? So the next question, lads, is this. I am getting, look at this, every regeneration of the New Who Doctors, of course, it's regenerated by vortex energy, regenerated by radioactive energy, regenerated by energy. And I could go on, but I think you get the score.
I'm just going to point out, by the way, no matter how many times they say, oh, it's a kilt, that looks like no kilt I've ever fucking seen, quite frankly. It's a dress. It basically is a fucking dress. It's not a kilt. Get over here. If you're still calling this a kilt, go up to Scotland and find out what a kilt is. Like,
Ryan, did you see in Unleashed the little girl who plays Poppy? She must be about 3. And
mate, I don't want to watch this. Never mind watch Unleashed.
Because she actually said, not quite with the same language as you, but she said when she saw Shooty wearing that, she said, why she said, what you wearing that? Because a 3-year-old could see that's not what normally a man wears.
She's sitting there going, that's like something I'd wear. But I'm sorry, you know what? See a doctor running about in a kilt, I'm all for that. Flipping get the legs out. Flipping Jamie flipping done it in the 60s. Flipping bring back the kilts. That's not a kilt. I'm sorry, it isn't. Like, imagine Capaldi in a kilt going around being an angry Scotsman. I'd love to see that, but no, that is not a kilt.
So yes, I'm over the regenerate. You can make the effects slightly better and slightly better, but I'm sorry. And there's something so indulgent about the Doctor wanting to almost blow up the universe. You know, like I need to share this with the world. Excuse me, it's so exhibitionist. It's so, and I always thought a death scene is a private scene. It just seems to be get it all wrong. So here's another question, because RTD wrote both scripts. So there's him with Wilfred Mott. Nah, mate, I could never use a gun, says the 10th Doctor. And there he is with his Vindicator gun.
Oh yeah, he literally full on goes Ghostbusters on Omega. It's and the whole point. Remember the whole point that Russell said about not having the stock screwdriver like a gun, and yet he fucking writes that.
We might have to limit them Fs now. Otherwise, I think.
But yeah, he writes that. He does that. He's like, oh yes, I'm going to fire basically a supernova at this guy using like pretty much like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this as a gun. But we can't have a sonic screwdriver that looks like a Sonic. Like,
you're right. This is what I mean, Ryan. You're so right, and I'll bring in Sean now because I can see he's about to come in. But the point is, RTD is supposed to be the custodian of the show. He's seen as the super fan of Doctor Who. The BBC executives have given him a big paycheck and a big budget because they trust him. And he is so inconsistent, as you've said, with the Sonic. And look at those two script pieces there.
You know what? Actually, you know what? There's no way like most programs like this would have a continuity person. Russell T Davies needs a guy beside him. Basically, well, Russell, actually, you said this like last year. You can't do it. That's what he needs. He needs a continuity person for himself because he's that inconsistent. He doesn't know what the hell he wants or what he's doing.
Yeah, Sean?
Just look, here's the biggest problem. Like, I was thinking about this when I watched the episode. It's too clean. It's no grit to it. But just look at those two images on your screen. Look at, and you know, say what you want about Tennant now, but look at those two powerhouses of actors. You know, the late Bernard Cribbins, David Tennant. And then look at that. Look, remember that scene? You know, it feels like, no, I don't know if that's not the cafe scene, is it? But that scene, awesome. Talking about being at war, and I love the scene in the cafe where they talk about it feels like dying every time I go, and it's brilliant. Look at that bottom. Look at that bottom image. And let's just take a moment to just. I know this isn't what you're meant to do for videos, but let's just take a second of silence and look at that bottom image. Would any of you use that bottom image to promote this show and say to someone who's never seen it, "Oh, you should watch this," and they go, "What the bloody hell's that? Some weird creature." It just looks like exactly what it is. Just crap. No one's.
But the thing is, with the special effects budget they have, well done. The effect works, but it didn't need to be Omega. It could have just been a new monster. That's all. There's no need to shaft Omega and wreck the Omega history in Doctor Who. There's no way it was recognizable Omega. There was no reason it had to be Omega in the end, really. And he's only there for 3 minutes because they can't afford the budget to have him on longer. So just do something different, RTD. I mean, there you go. I mean, that picture to me is fine in another series, in another movie. It's not Doctor Who. It's
if there's something strange in your neighborhood, who call Omega Busters. Yay!
Exactly. And of course, there is something. Help me, lads. Is there something different about Unit nowadays? It's just, what is it? They're all happy clappy. I mean, you had Sergeant Benton, who was always a little bit kind of, you know, I'm always put upon by the Brigadier. Captain Yates, who was away with the fairies in the end in Planet of the Spiders. And that was about it. Maybe Bessie had a part. Joe Grant, Liz Shaw, Sarah Jane wasn't Unit, was she really? Harry Sullivan. But look at this lot. And you wonder, has sci-fi become feminized? Oh no, Brendan, you're on. Sonny, go on then, coming in.
Now, this is a scene that I can relate to, Brendan. Growing up, I did hang out with a lot of white women, and I was probably the only black guy there. This is a very relatable scene. But other than that, I don't know. I wasn't going into space and time traveling, though. We were just like watching The Bachelor.
And anyway, I've been checking my phone all day, lads, because obviously having talked to the press, and I did my show yesterday about it, having talked to the press about Doctor Who, I was waiting to be called to be advisor to the showrunner because, lads, I do need to remind the thread sometimes because I worry that sometimes people don't know my background. But basically, there you go. Brendan Noble, 57, former English teacher. Yes, I used to be an English teacher. Yes, just to remind everybody, I'm the Harriet Jones of streaming. But yes, they've not called on me. I'm very...
Brendan Noble, former teacher. Yes, we know who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And the last question on this section, lads, is did he set up the bi-generation of the Rani just to do that to Ronnie's joke?
Can I ask, because we've got to ask, because he's the only non-UK. Sonny, do you understand the reference to that?
I did not get
this
reference at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hey, who's going to get that?
I've only watched
like, seriously, that...
Well, never even mind that. How, like, even young, like anyone younger than us will even struggle with that.
I only know it because I used to watch like a bit of the two Ronnies.
But it felt like he'd laboured a bi-generation just to make that moment because their motivations was all wrong. I mean, I didn't understand why Mrs. Flood just suddenly thought, oh, I'll just disappear. And the Rani brings Omega into kind of this universe and had no backup plan in case he had a bit of a bad mood on him. Just stupid. It made no sense at all. But lads, I've got loads more kind of tee-ups for you. Now, just while you kind of have a moment, we're talking about Russell T Davies and his script writing and his structuring of the season. But actually, I've heard from him, the man himself. Here we go.
Hello, darling. It's me, Russell the Davis. Oh, you know, the one who doesn't like criticism, doesn't like to be challenged, and doesn't like questioning. Yes, that one. That's the one. Yes, the big Welsh one. Do you know, I was just wondering what that silly little YouTube channel, the Sphere, whatever it's called, lack of, is doing. Well, they always have the most pointless debates, you know, the meaningless, non-relevant people that they bring on their channels, the sad, lonely individuals who are still living under the mattress, you know, who just can't accept that the show is superior than it ever was. Well, we better rush back and see what they say about me.
There you go. So, good old RTD himself. He wasn't very impressed. So, nightmares. This is our next little element. And the first one is this on the ratings, lads. I've got the details today of how much money it made in the cinema. And you can see there 380,000 on the one night. He put it Doctor Who in 8th place for the week. In top place is Lilo and Stitch for the week that got 6 million. And Mission Impossible got 3.5 million.
Yes, go and see Mission Impossible. Don't go and see Doctor Who in the cinema.
Yeah. So Karate Kid, 2.5 million. The Salt Path, 1.4 million. Final Destination, 970,000. So Doctor Who got 380,000. It's a one-off. What do you reckon, lads?
So 38 people went to see it then? Sorry, that was a cinema tickets price joke right there.
I know. So
it was very subtle, Ryan. Really nice. It was difficult to out. It was nicely done.
I didn't understand why really people wanted, having paid the license fee for Doctor Who being on your telly, suddenly wanted to go to the cinema to see a repeat of one of the episodes and then the add-on.
Yeah.
Really? I thought there was a cost of living crisis. Clearly not.
I know people. I have friends that went to the cinema screen, and I literally laughed at them. I just did. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well,
those are the same people saying they liked it. I'm sure, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yes, they all loved it.
They have to like it. They have to support it. That's how they think. I
Why,
think.
I said,
But
but why? Oh, Jesus. Right, no. Behaving. I'm behaving myself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
I reckon if they'd have put a movie of the Antiques Roadshow on, it would have brought in at least 500,000. It would have beaten Doctor Who. So do you know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I'd have watched that. Can you imagine that on the big screen? The curtains go back. Do, 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 do. Oh,
my
goddamn,
right,
so
imagine
goddamn
this,
British.
Basically, Antiques Roadshow meets Die Hard, basically, and it's a whole bank robbery thing. And like they're trying to steal all the antiques.
Love it. Yeah.
Or you could have
Hans Gruber. I'm going to count to 3. Is it worth 500,000 this vase or 700,000? Bang.
Well, what about having the shooty doctor with the vindicator gun smashing all the antiques to pieces? And then everybody crying because all the valuables have gone. So there you go. The consolidated, we all heard yesterday, was 2.86 for Wish World. Of course, compared to 5.86 for Race Across the World, compared to 3.8 for Britain's Got Talent. What does that actually mean in the big roundup of things? If you just go bigger there, you can see I'm hitting red all the time now with Doctor Who. It's back in the red. Yep. You have to see Interstellar Song Contest as an aberration because, the 3.75 stands out a mile. You can see that Lucky Day consolidated 2.8, Story of the End Engine 2.7, Wish World 2.86. It's we've now shipped. What's that? 700,000 viewers consolidated since Robot Revolution. Sean?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of shipping going on, but it's not for viewers, is it? But can I just say to Ryan, because if I don't say this, I'll burst. I've got a tagline for the new Die Hard meets Antique Roadshow. It's welcome with a pottery pal. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, but I quite like it. I'm trying to entertain myself here.
I know. That's what we need to get this going because we're all miserable.
Yeah, well, I'll keep taking this creche lesson while you all distract yourself. So I'll just report the news like the teacher in the front with his little PowerPoints, and you're all messing on in the back. That's it.
Well,
so
the international Stellar Jesus Christ, the Interstellar Song Contest. That was out to say. I haven't even had a drink. That was actually. It was one of the most entertaining episodes. It was okay. It fell apart at the end, and it was a little bit daft. But for a bit of that, I did quite enjoy it. It was entertaining, but it wasn't Doctor Who. It reminded me of like Whittaker's first series. Like there was some interesting stuff in there, and it was like it was all right. Like with a bit with the Witchfinder, and they went to America and whatever. And it was and the British Raj in India. It was very politically charged, but there were entertaining enough episodes. It just wasn't Doctor Who. There was no Doctor. It was just a bunch of people.
Well, let me ask you a quiz question, because normally I ask the Sunday crew, predict the ratings for next week. We can't do that now. So what I'll do is I normally on the Tuesday show show you the top 30. So we've got the consolidated with Wish World. Now, is Doctor Who at number 1 down to number 30? Now, it's been in the top 10. It's been number 15. It's been number 25. So I'll go around the panel and I'll ask the thread, where is Doctor Who in Wish World in the top 30? So Ryan, where did you think it came?
I know Antiques Roadshow's probably beat it again.
Probably.
I would say it's maybe around somewhere between 18 and 24.
Okay. Sean?
So what's the lowest it can be? 30?
Yeah.
29.
Okay, Sonny?
Jesus. It's between 20 and 25.
Okay, so let's go looking then. Let's go looking
like
for
2021.
Let's go looking for Doctor Who then. So there you go. There's the top 15 for that week. Race Across the World there at the top, as you know. Clarkson's Farm does what it says on the tin.
Oh, Clarkson's Farm is genuinely the best thing on TV right now. It's bloody brilliant.
So there you've got that. There's 4 episodes of Clarkson's Farm on the top 15. You've got Emmerdale, Coronation Street, a few dramas. So no, not in the top 15. So let's go a bit further down. Where is Doctor Who? and you'll see it's squeezed in at number 30. But lads,
Whoa.
Thank you.
Whoa,
Thank you.
Sean got it. Yeah. What the
Jesus
heck?
Christ.
it's below
And I was
Gogglebox.
kind.
It was in theaters.
But remember,
Gogglebox
I mean,
is great.
I know, but Gogglebox is a, let's remind the international public, Gogglebox is a program where it's just families watching clips of TV programs. Doctor Who's supposed to be a TV program, an event TV program, and it's beaten by a clips show.
Yeah, and guess what? Gogglebox is
That's a
very,
bit
very
harsh.
cheap to make.
Whoa.
Well, it's not, because there's no drama in Gogglebox. I like Gogglebox, but it's you have to say it's a clip show when it's not got a narrative. It hasn't got a
I
Disney
think Doctor
budget.
Who is, yeah, that's fair, but I think Doctor Who is right where right where it deserves to be. And
I know,
I'm
but Sean,
happy. I'm
Sean,
happy about it.
Sean,
Yeah.
let's play media executives. We're both media executives in charge of massive budgets, and I hear that somebody's in charge of Doctor Who and it's only getting 2.8 million and it's really expensive to make. And somebody else is making Gogglebox and it's just lots of clips and the expense is getting them from other programs and it's just little people sitting on the couch laughing at it. Which one am I going to make more of in the future?
Gogglebox.
Exactly.
Because it's good and it wins awards and it's entertaining. It's not, I mean, it's a bit harsh to call it just a clip show. I know what you mean. If you've watched it for years, you know the people. It's like comfort viewing. You know what you're going to get. It's nice. It's nice. It makes you feel good. Do you know what I mean? I can make you feel good. It's great. Doctor Who, it's not going to make you feel good. It's going to make you angry. It's going to raise your blood pressure. It's not what you need after work. If you've had a stressful day anyway, you don't need that. Stick Gogglebox on. Like it's or whatever else.
And the big news is Antiques Roadshow is above it, but it's 500,000 above Doctor Who. It's 500,000 more than Doctor Who. So the joke's over, really. I mean, honestly, RTD, explain yourself.
To be fair, though, I actually did come to the conclusion last night, though, because I just see all the ratings. I do want to go and live in Emmerdale now.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's sexy. DEI, there's millions of gay
amount
people.
of basically Emmerdale is basically Mill City. I just want to go and live in Emmerdale.
Right, so my next question then on the ratings, it's my last one on the ratings before we move on. So when it came to the actual episode that you watched on Saturday, the reality war, we couldn't get the 5-minute breakdown, but what I did get is the highest figure during the whole program and the lowest figure. So basically, let me just show you this and see if it makes sense to you lads. So basically, I broke down the program by 5 minutes, and at 25 minutes, it got its peak viewers. 2.31 million were watching then, when Poppy and Belle went into the zero room. Woo! And you know what? Its lowest ratings was 1.5 million at the end. When he regenerated, we'd lost 800,000 by then because there's the European Championships were on the other side, weren't there? Champions League.
It's funny, isn't it? That Belinda, it's hilarious as a character. She literally gets put in a box. She gets put in a box, and loads of people turned off the box. It's beautiful poetry in action. You love to see it. Bye, Doctor Who. You won't be missed. Suck it.
Well, we're talking about Billy Piper. We're talking about the regeneration, but a lot of people had already gone by. I don't blame them. For 20 minutes, you can see the Doctor's jubilant after 45 minutes. 20 minutes of the program was sitting on a playmat saying, I think Poppy might be mine. Oh, I think I'm a nice fella. Hiya, Geordie. I'm going to put some space dust into the universe. I'd rather watch, some crud on BBC Three. So there you go. But I thought this would cheer you up. Did you see these photographs this week?
I did see this.
I mean, there you go. Good old Tom Baker, aged 91, in his burgundy outfit. So there
if anyone
you go.
hasn't seen the curry sauce clip, just go on YouTube and type in Tom Baker curry sauce, and it will cheer you right up. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But it is absolutely glorious. Absolutely glorious. Just go cheer yourself up.
I literally want that as my message tone.
Me too. I
So there you go.
absolutely love it.
So I'll continue. I'm not sure anybody's even referred to it. Right. Thank you, Michael Nemo. Doctor Who is a ship of Theseus now, and thank you for your little generous offer there. But there's lovely Tom Baker. I thought that might cheer us up after all the bad news about ratings and everything else. But I go on. I go on and on and on. I sound like Mrs. Thatcher. Right, here we go. So we said last week, what the hell did that campsite look like? And actually, I thought, lads, there was maybe method to his madness, RTD, which is he thought it was, he got his dates wrong. It's LGBTQ Pride Month. You know, it goes on for a month. So I thought, that's what he's doing. It's our flag of convenience. It's the rainbow flag this time. And so what I wanted to say to commemorate, because it's a very important month, as you know, it's everywhere. You know, Doctor Who magazine changes Doctor Who classic history. They start rewriting it and making it definitely very queer. You know the score. So what I wanted to do, lads, is to take the mick slightly and say, how dare anybody touch classic Who and say, do you know, I've had to think about that character, and I think that character was secretly lesbian or secretly gay. You know, that's the game they play. And I just want to say, for the sake of Doctor Who, back off. Because there's no way Doctor Who in the old days was this rainbow glitter event that you get now. Because can you remember that scene that we had this season? Look at that. So, back off our classic Doctor Who. It was never gay. It was never LGBTQ. How could you ever find evidence for it? There's no evidence, is there, Sean?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person.
I was just going to say,
okay, I'll leave you out.
It does have quite a big gay fan base, to be fair, and pretty much everybody that's working on Doctor Who currently, pretty much all the higher ups are all gay.
Oh, I don't mind. That's the thing is, they keep trying to go into classic Who saying that character was actually gay, and then they kind of capture them. And all I'm trying to say in a sarcastic way, but I'll do it myself if you want, is you've got the Axons there in Lycra. You've got, you know, the great 80s makeup in Terminus. And, I mean, what the hell was going on in Leisure Hive? That was men. Yeah, there was no hint of homosexuality in Classic Who. Never, Sonny, was there?
No, from the episodes I seen, the classic trope would be like, it's a misunderstanding. It's always very like human. Like we should stick together, or we should understand each other based off of human connections. And a lot of the conflict or political strife comes from just common misunderstandings, and it's never because of like sexuality or even race, really. Like none of that stuff comes up.
But you know they're doing it. This is the game they're playing now, and they do. It's like they're saying, "Oh, I think Ace was a lesbian. Oh, I think Tegan and Nissa. Oh, I think," and they're doing it all across. Even Boris Hussein in Doctor Who Monthly was saying, "I think in Marco Polo," and he started picking on characters and saying it was homoerotic, and that's why I'm saying sarcastically, there's no way you can believe that any of these characters are LGBTQ. I'm sorry. Where's the evidence? I don't see it anywhere. This all looks normal to me.
Can I play devil's advocate? In that it's a bit like, is it scotoma or scatoma, where your eye sees what you want to believe. Which is like, if this is what people are reading into this, fine. It's a bit like, I mean, you should know this, Brendan, doing English. Like, how many times do you go through something that's like, oh, let's read this Auden poem. Why did he have the sky of clouds and dark? And you're like, maybe it was just a really rubbish weather day. It is England after all. And like, no. The green represents the environment. And you're like, really? Really, teacher? Is it not just the fact that he liked green? Obviously, I was a
Sam and Anthony, if you want a lesson, I'll give you a private tutorial on sarcasm and irony.
Who said, like, this is what I mean? Right, you know, we know you're the contrarian, and we've loved some of you, but you're putting words in our mouth. Like if any of us at any point said this worries us, like if this worries Brendan, I mean, Jamie, you've got something to worry about, mate. Because I mean, if this is unsettling, Brendan, you know, like let's be serious and let's be adult about this.
Yeah, I'm making a satirical point that certain people in the Doctor Who world, in Doctor Who magazine, and various things love to have these fan fiction moments saying, "Oh, I think Tegan and Nyssa were secretly lesbian," and da 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 da, and you go, "Yon." Okay, you've captured present day Doctor Who. You don't need to get your mitts all over old Doctor Who. Just leave it as is. Innocent.
That's not fan fiction, then, and we should just ignore it.
Well, yeah. I mean, but having said that, the Black Guardian, I mean, what bloke goes around with an extravagant hat on his head? I don't know.
Like, we are talking about Doctor Who, and that's like, and I'm sorry if you completely disagree with me on this, but a lot of classic, like a lot of all Doctor Who is very camp. You know, it is very camp, but you know, unless the actual the original writer, or because there's nothing wrong with having gay characters in Doctor Who, nothing at all. But there's no point going back and saying 50 years after the fact, "Oh, this character was gay." It's like, really, why is that? Because I say so. All right, did the original writer write them like that? No, I'm just saying so now because that's what's in my head.
Now, I will say one thing. So here's Joe Chapman, who I was talking to earlier, and we had a chat about this, actually. And if I get it right, Joe, what we were saying was Doctor Who, especially in Classic Who, whether it was that character on the left, whether it was the character on the right, whether it was somebody else, because, well, let's face it, their sexuality, we didn't get involved. But you could take your own representation from it. Because the Doctor Who universe is so universal, you can fancy who you want. You can actually write your own stories in your head. But present day Doctor Who says this person is a lesbian. This person is this. The Doctor is gay. And that includes only certain people and it excludes people. Whereas Classic Who was universal and we could all take our own readings from it. And I think that's what me and Joe were saying today. And I think that's the difference between Classic Who and New Who, that actually it says it's inclusive, but it puts so many people off. Whereas Classic Who, you took your own readings from it.
Well, the fact is, in Classic Doctor Who, there is just no sexual undertones whatsoever. There just isn't.
No.
So this shouldn't even be a conversation because it's not even there in the Classic series. The whole sexualized stuff is only there in New Who. That's it. Done.
I mean, what business is it? What business is it of ours anyway? Like, who's bothered? Like who's bothered? Like, you watch your program and you'll take the characters for who they are. If you want to believe that, because we all do it in our head, make up a head canon, or I think something's happened here, something's happened there. We do it in films a lot because they're a lot shorter. Like, we think they've had a relationship past, but like, there's nothing. So yeah, go on, mate. Go on.
No, it's just to help you out with your question, because I'm not perturbed. I mean, I'm sleeping tonight, but I'm making a satirical point because it's not just in somebody's head now, in somebody's tweet or post. Big Finish and certain rewritings of Doctor Who via RTD. I mean, you know for a fact they bring a character back and they give you a subtle hint. Big Finish suddenly goes, I think Yaz and the Doctor are more of an item. Of course, it was then confirmed. But they're playing at this and then they're rewriting it and then they inject in their politics when I think you're just capturing the program, and that's unfair. So I know what you're saying. It shouldn't bother any of us if it was just, I decide that the third Doctor was gay. Well, you can think what you want, Brendan, but but if I was writing Big Finish scripts, if I was then remastering some of these scripts and changing various things, well, that does become if I was writing one of the Target books.
But it depends on what prerogative people have been given who are writing these things, whether it's a book, whether it's a Big Finish, whether it's an episode, what have they been given, what do they want it to be about. But to be like, you're right though, like I'm just a bit bored of having not this one. This is a conversation, it seems to be happening all over the place, and it's like, okay, is it relevant? Like, is it? I'm not interested. I'm not, but like one of my favorite characters in the original run is Captain Jack. I absolutely love that character. I think it's absolutely brilliant. and I've and I love Torchwood. Some bits of Torchwood I thought were better than New Who by a mile.
Oh yeah, sure. Torchwood
not
basically everybody shags everybody at some point in that show.
Yeah,
But you see,
but it was
Jared,
marketed as being an older show, wasn't it?
as Jared says here, the queer colonization is a deliberate political strategy to take ownership of an IP more popular than anything the queer colonists could ever create for themselves. It's a strategy. I mean, I hate that word as well because I don't see it as a friendly word. But the reason it's raised is because people in power, the magazine, Big Finish, the actual TV program. Sean, I understand your opinion of saying, I don't know why it doesn't really bother me. It bothers me in the way that the people in power are rewriting history. You know?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
People,
I wasn't saying it's not.
Oh, sorry, go
mate.
ahead, Sean.
Can I just come back?
No, sorry, go
mate.
ahead, Sean. I was just going to point out.
You know,
One, Sean.
Sorry,
Sean.
it's a delay. Sorry, it's a delay. For me, like I wasn't saying it, but it bothered you. I don't understand. Like, if for me, it's like if you want to have that like opinion, not you, but the writers of the magazine or whatever, they want to have these opinions, fine, but don't try and convince other people. Like, you want to have your opinions, fine. I treat other people's opinions a bit like I treat religion. Like, you have your, need to be careful how I word this. You have your beliefs and your faith. That's fine. I respect them in all the walks. But as long as I don't advocate violence on people. But for me, like, don't bring it to my doorstep. I'm not interested, and I'm not interested in that. So it's like you see what you want in it. You see what you want. But for me, I'm like, don't try and convince me of it. If it's, if I don't see it, because we're just seeing different things in an episode. I mean,
Yeah.
Damien, I've just reviewed Blade, the 1998 Blade. You want to talk about undertones? If you go back and watch Blade, there's so much in Blade. Like, I think all the vampires are just with each other of every sexuality. So that's very, you can read into that, but they don't state it. I think nowadays that there's like, oh, they're definitely this, they're definitely that. And you're like, well, okay, if that's the way you want it, you see it. Well, okay, present your argument and then try and convince people rather than saying they are definitely X, Y, and Z.
Ryan?
I was just going to say, does it really matter? At the end of the day, they can say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, we still have the classic series. It is what it is. We will always have the classic series. They can't just, regardless of what they say, it's not going to change anything. It just won't. You know what I mean? We can still go back. And to be fair, as much as I am an advocate for Big Finish, like, to be fair, half of what Big Finish has done, if you're trying to compare that to the TV show, half of it's not even canon anymore. You know what I mean? Because it's just been completely bastardized by the show. But this is also another problem. Has Doctor Who been going too long, and does it have just too much baggage at this point?
Yeah, I think the answer is yes. I actually think Doctor Who is actually an experiment. Let's be honest. There's no science fiction show that's gone this long ever, because obviously we were there pretty much the beginning of television, really, at the start of the 60s. So basically, its success is something that actually could kill it, because it's getting, I think, now suffocated by its canon. It's getting suffocated. I mean, let's face it, every season now we have the same references of Gallifrey and the Time War and this. We actually just need a fresh new season going forward.
Yeah,
we really do.
We just need, as I said earlier on, we need to, if we are going to go ahead, it all needs a completely new set of eyes on it. It needs completely stripped. We don't need like, if you're going to bring back any classic monsters, bring back the ones that even the general public are going to know what they are. Like, number one, the general public don't know who Omega is. A lot of the younger fan base aren't going to know who Omega is unless they have watched the classic series or are familiar with it. But yeah, for Russell T Davies to come and say, oh yeah, this is a brand new start. For 2 years in a row, he's made the same mistake twice. And it hasn't helped the show. And like, even if the show was on top form right now and the writing was very, very good, even I would have said bringing back Sutek and Omega was a bad idea if you're wanting to try and do something completely new.
Well, let's talk about, as I said, with story time. It's the actual episode now. Let's really get into it. So, of course, this was the massive headline. We've just given you an opening gambit on Billy Piper regenerate. Well, it looks like, but as I said, you know, there's a gap. But we lost Shooty. Shooty did leave. Then we got the Joker. There she is. And what's interesting
Can I say
is
a positive?
hold on. Yeah, you can in a sec. I'll just finish this, and then otherwise my brain will blow up because there's so many different things. Most fans, it took seconds before everybody started saying it must be the TARDIS. It must be a stunt. This isn't really true. If you look at and actually, when you look at the build-up, the TARDIS was showing the Doctor all the old incarnations, and it's as if the TARDIS was in on this. So I've got it as the Phantom Piper, but. Go on, Sean. I mean, Billy Piper, how many parts in Doctor Who is she going to have?
Still would, though.
For me, I've got a positive. Genuinely, I really, really liked the music in this, in that regeneration scene. And when I loved it. I thought the music was really, really good. I mean, to be fair, Murray Gold, he's not been as on form as in previous seasons, but you can just feel like Murray Gold's music throughout the episode trying to elicit this cacophony of emotions. And unfortunately, because of what's on screen, it's more like a wet fart. Not even an impressive wet fart that people go, oh, bloody hell, mate, what have you eaten? But it's just one that just soils your own pants and you don't even get the satisfaction of other people's approval. But it's yeah.
Well, you've got obsolete but neat here. Was there a reason the Doctor needed to regenerate? Was he injured or something? And this is an interesting point. Is this the first Doctor? Now, we can only use one bit of language. The other one YouTube doesn't like. He basically euthanized because he wanted to save this little girl. Who in the end, you remember when he got there and he saw Belinda and he did the check, she's 100% human. So basically, it wasn't his. So basically, he euthanized for no reason at all. You think of all the other Doctors and they saved their companion, they saved the universe, blah, blah, blah. And was this the most, in so many ways, it's almost metaphorical. Was this the most pathetic, empty regeneration ever?
Yes.
Because
simply because, don't know what the problem is with Regeneration now? Regeneration was broken from the end of Matt Smith, quite frankly, because we were all sitting there going, well, the Doctor only has like 13 lives here, and this is going to be interesting. Then they fixed it, and then basically it almost just seems like Regeneration now. It's not a big deal. Everybody regenerates now. I can just click my fingers and I regenerate. It's all happy. It's not a big deal anymore. Like the whole thought, like before Smith, very much like, oh, the Doctor's dying. All right, that means another life's gone. He's only got a few more left. There's no actual, what's the word I'm looking for?
Stakes, no stakes.
There is no stakes with Regeneration anymore, because as far as we're concerned now, the Doctor has as many lives now as he wants. He can regenerate infinitively, as far as we know. So,
but Sean, sorry, I'm terrible with you two, aren't I? Ryan, what's even worse is there's no jeopardy ever, because that time hotel, I think, destroys all of Doctor Who forever. Because let's face it, why would Anita and the time hotel appear with all these doors everywhere just for this episode, when, let's face it, it looks as though they went to Dave the Daleks, she saw John Pertwee, she saw Matt Smith, so she can go into other time zones. So basically now, every time I see a Doctor Who episode, I'm waiting for the time hotel door to open.
Yeah, like it was a magic door. Like he literally did use the magic door, like to get. Like it's 2025, and Davis is still writing like he was 20 years ago with magic doors and quick fixes. I don't like. No, I know what the problem is. We've all grown up a bit. Russell T Davies hasn't. His writing has not evolved as far. Whenever it comes to Doctor Who, his writing has not evolved. If anything, it's gotten worse. It's went backwards.
Well, here, just to help you now, because I did say earlier in the show that there were, this lad called Andrew is leaking all the time, and most of his rumours have been correct. So regarding the Billy Piper 16th Doctor nonsense, this is what was said. So let's just have a look at this, and I'll get your feedback. So I'll just take you through, lads. So, Billy was a very last minute decision around the time of the robot revolution. They were still planning to go with the cliffhanger Regeneration, I suppose, fade to black. But I don't think the casting of 16 indicates or confirms the renewal of season 3 with her in it. It seems more like stunt casting to round off RTD2 and kind of wrap up the New Who era. No, Billy wasn't even on set. She filmed everything with an incredibly small crew in front of a green screen in London a month or so ago, and they just pasted a face onto Shooty's body. I've heard, and I also suspected this myself, that Russell casting Billy was a way to increase audience interest, a bit like Tennant, and hopefully then make the show more appealing to Disney. BBC are a bit concerned currently about how they're going to continue the show themselves. There's lots of scrambling going on. What do you reckon to that, from what your thoughts are?
I agree with that totally. Like, it was complete stunt casting, and you can tell it was very last minute. You can almost, whenever you're watching it, like, especially if it shows you Shooty Gatwa from behind, like from the back of his head, and it fades, and because any other Regeneration we actually see, yeah, how does the Regeneration from 2005 look better than this? Anyway, it doesn't, like, we don't see like the actual molding into the new face sort of thing. It could have easily cut the black, and you can see that watching the episode. It could have just cut the black and then just shoehorned Billy Piper's face into it. But no, I don't believe for a second that it is, she's meant to be the 16th Doctor. I think there's some timey-wimey shenanigans going on, but this is that whatever the hell is going on right now, this was not the plan. It was not the plan.
Sonny, do you sense? I mean, I'm interested in what this man's saying, because, yeah, it makes sense to me that the BBC's panicking. They would like Disney to be interested, but it's looking like a salvage job. They need to show headlines and interest, and they thought Billy Piper might be just that stunt to do it after the disaster of Shooty. Do you think we're onto something here?
100%. It reeks of a stunt desperation, and that's the leading theory everybody is going with, and they admitted it. Just admitting it, that first sentence is crazy to me. It's like, yes, casting Billy was a very last minute decision. Like, around the robot revolution, even, that's crazy to me to admit that. You're admitting it's a failure. You're admitting it's failing, but we can't change anything. And it doesn't, I would buy into the Billy Piper ends it all if we actually answered any questions. There's like nothing was answered. So it's like nothing is actually ended. So this can't be an ending. To me, this only confirms season 3.
It's the end, but the moment has definitely not been prepared for.
Sean, what do you reckon?
Nice.
Do you think this means it's a kind of, we said earlier, maybe it's a neat trick. It's a kind of parting goodbye from RTD as a neat trick, and then it's up to you now, BBC. Or do you think this means season 3's coming?
If you're still buying anything RTD says to you, I can't help you. I think it is just a complete throw. I'm not calling Billy Piper poo, but throw enough poo at the wall and see if something sticks. It's a desperate gamble, just like they did with Tennant, and we know it's done. I think it's done, honestly. Like, I don't think it's happening, but the fact that they seem to have, I was saying this to you, Brendan, wasn't it, when we were chatting on the phone about the episode, because we were both fuming. I think it felt like a film that had been really, really heavily re-edited. Sorry. Yeah, it felt like it watched. Hang on, let me get my teeth in. I'd watched Blade, the film, to review for my podcast, and that had a lot of heavy reshoots towards the back end of it, and it was really edited, and you could tell by the ending of Blade. And Doctor Who, this episode felt exactly the same. Like, it felt so heavily re-edited and rechanged, and the touching of grass, and the fact that he just regenerates for no reason whatsoever.
Well, I wanted to bring in Chris Lawley here because actually it's a pertinent point. When was the last 10 minutes altered? Well, it was around February. We did the reshoots, which was mostly in Belinda's house, in that garden, and in the TARDIS, which means we can quickly get Jodie in to do that bit. And basically, make a third of the blooming finale being about him leaving and being a bit domestic. So yes, it was around February. So it's very last minute. This. Remember, I did a saloon last year. I did a saloon last year when Shooty talked about. He was talking to Vanity Fair, and he said, "All my team. He has a team of kind of agents who discuss his next roles." And I thought, God, most actors, it's kind of money's tight. He has a team around him, and you know this, Sean, with football, that the trouble, what's killed football is agents, because a footballer may be settled at a club and performing all nicely, but the agent keeps saying you can go somewhere else and get a bit more money. You can go, and they ruin it and they unsettle people. And I think Shooty may have wanted to stay longer, but the agents get at him. Obviously, the program seems toxic, and they say, "Get out now, get out as fast as you can," and that's what's happened.
I don't know though. I genuinely, I mean, you're right about football, but I think I don't know if it's a half and half situation, whether he jumps, because this might have really he might go nowhere. This might have damaged his reputation. You don't know. Or do most people just not even know? But on the other hand, you're thinking maybe he's been the fall guy. Because for me, as much as I don't want to believe it, because it will be horrific, a part of me thinks it's a possibility that RTD stays on, maybe continues it with Billy Piper, or it's a stunt and they bring in somebody else. Because they seem to have done this as if to say, "Oh, we need to get somebody in to keep the interest up." But then Shooty, when it was on Graham Norton, and said, "I'll be filming series 3," and then they edited that out. So it doesn't seem like he thought he was going to. I personally, and even if this is right, I think he's taken the fall. I think they are going to try and say, well, not say, they won't, but I think they've gone, right, well, it's like a chairman getting rid of the manager, but the chairman's really at fault. I'm not saying anything about
I think RTD, as everyone knows, I've said it a few times, I was talking to Joe Chapman today, who's been in the television industry, and we were having an interesting chat. And, what's our hunch? As you know, the Sense Freer proudly has no links with anything. It's just educated guesswork. And I have to say, it is very possible, and as Joe Chapman said, RTD should be sweating. He should be under an awful lot of pressure. The people very high up in the BBC, who I know we can take the mick out of, are very, very powerful and will have been reading the ratings, will be seeing the fan reaction, and will not be happy. And the worst case is he's gone, or they may make him sweat and say, things need to change. I mean, Andy Pryor's left, the casting director for the last 20 years. He's gone. Now, is that a fluke? Change the personnel. Change the lead actor. Do you know what? It sounds like Michael Grade and Colin Baker and Jane T all over again, doesn't it? Now, the other part of the rumour, and I'll show you it here and see what your feedback is on this, was she's happy to do a special or a series, but it's also fine just to film a quick something in an attempt to help out the show. Russell went straight for Billy. She didn't have to audition or anything. All happened very quickly. Yep. I don't even think Russell knows why she's Rosa's face yet. Yeah, I get that. Most of season 3 was written with Shooty in mind, so don't expect 16 to be too different. There were a few alternative takes of Billy's first lines. I was hoping for a bit more edge, but no. Everything in Unit after the Belinda Doctor and Ruby scene was reshoots, as well as the garden and Belinda's house scene and the stuff with the 13. They're not going to admit that Shooty leaving after 2 seasons wasn't always the plan, because that would mean admitting that season 3 was delayed because season 1 didn't do as well as initially hoped, which Russell will never do. So I actually have no problem with any of that.
It makes a lot of sense.
Never explained why.
Right, Sonny.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, and because RTD is giving jobs to his friends, and that's what we've been seeing the last 2 seasons, and that's why the quality is just going down.
If everybody goes to the writer's tale, I'm going through it at the moment for research purposes. Billy Piper was about to do the next season after Stolen Earth. They'd approached her and she said she might do 4 or 5 episodes. Now, by that point, she's done 2 seasons, etc., etc. And she'd done Stolen Earth. And she agreed to come back again. And while that was being discussed, they were getting Catherine Tate and they're switched in the end. So Billie Piper has always been somebody who will help them out. She clearly has a very good relationship with Bad Wolf. Sat on that stage with Chris Eccleston, interesting. But basically, it doesn't surprise me. And if you all look up at the writer's tale, you'll see many sections where Billie Piper is the go-to and she will come back and help them out. So this fits her modus operandi completely. That she'll come in, she may just do the face, she'll do anything to help the series. I think she rates it that highly as it resurrected her acting career. And that's fine, that's really nice of her. But I think that's what's going on. Okay, deadly silence. So let's talk about the 15th Doctor. I feel I'm in a different time zone to the three in the creche tonight. The 15th Doctor, we've got his whole era. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were. So, you know, you go online and you see various things. So there, you know, on the left there, you've got one fan says, Dot and Bubble, Wild Blue Yonder and The Well are the best Doctor Who shooty stories. Well, I know Wild Blue Yonder isn't. Yeah. And then go all the way down to Space Babies, Empire of Death and The Reality War. Yeah. Then you've got on the other side, somebody, 73 yards is 1 out of 10, which, interesting. Anyway, Sean.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it. There's so much time lag tonight. I've got to direct it a little bit more. Sorry. So Sean, what are your thoughts? You know, what would you say were the best and the worst of the shooty era?
I mean, the best ones are where he isn't bloody in them. I think you know, Dot and Bubble was okay till the end, but for me, the only one that I would pick is just tough. The only one I would pick that I would watch again because I thought it was quite a good episode, because it didn't have him in it, was 73 yards. Genuinely the only one, and it didn't stick the landing, but I liked Millie Gibson. I said to you, Brendan, before that I thought she was the best thing again in this episode. In the, what the hell was it called? Reality War. She was I actually cared. You can tell she can act, and somebody who can actually act shines through in this program because no bugger else can. That's the only one. I thought the others were just dreadful.
It was interesting that I've seen a few fans online, and it's quite right that he writes a 20-minute ending for Shooty, and Shooty's Doctor, the 15th Doctor, didn't really say goodbye to Ruby Sunday. And that's like,
do you know what as well? Bloody time lag. Makes you realise with, was it 13 episodes? So Shooty gets what? Like it shows you with 13 episodes how good Eccleston was. Like it shows you how good he was because he gets less episodes than Shooty, and like you couldn't argue whatever you want, but you couldn't argue the 9th Doctor's underdeveloped. You know, and it's just incredible. Like Lux as well. To be fair, Lux was a brilliant. It was actually Doctor Who again until they went through the screen. That was horrendous.
Yeah.
Lux was really. Lux was the one episode. Sorry, just at one point on it. Promise. Lux was the one episode where I thought, this is what you could have had. This is what you could have had here. Like this is what you could do with this younger, more energetic Doctor. It was the one episode, apart from maybe the church on Ruby Road where he's jumping over the rooftops and he. I know it's daft, but I really enjoyed that bit where he was on the ladder and he went like ta-da, and the Doctor music swelled. Thought, oh, this actually could work. but those were fleeting moments, people. It was like that moment where you remember an ex and you forget all the bad stuff and you think, oh, well, you know, I could go there again. But it was that kind of a feel. But it was just, apart from that, it was fleeting little moments. It was like this episode of Reality War. It was okay. I was quite with it. He looked very doctory. And then he drops his jacket and you think, oh, the gloves are off. No.
Yeah.
The skirt's on. That's what it was. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, because it just killed it.
So, Julie, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Very nice of you. Thank you. I've got to watch my manners, and I don't want to miss anybody out. It's horrible if I do. So, thank you very much. So yes, common courtesy. Now, before I come to Ryan to ask him the best and worst of the shooty era, I want to remind everybody, just before this very short season started, they toured America and they promised us so much in this season. And I'm just wondering, do you feel as though we got it? Just to remind you, here we go.
Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series. Brand new season of this hit series.
I've not had a companion that challenges the Doctor as much. The greatest trouble he's ever faced before. Vivians will love this season. It's
The best reveal.
the best reveal.
No, but it's you.
Well, Doctor?
Of course. The Master.
I put them in at the end because, of course, they were the better reveals. So, Varada Sethu said there's a brilliant reveal. Did I miss something? I mean, what was the great reveal?
I've got some inside information, Brendan. Apparently, it was meant to be her dad. You were meant to see an actual man. I know it's a shock. In the episode. We don't see many men. But you were meant to see her dad. Yeah, because they casted her dad, didn't they? And he never appeared anywhere. Like where is that a big mystery? Is it up there with Mavity? Where's Belinda's dad?
Nah.
Doctor Who has a massive issue with dads. It's like, where are any of them? Anyway, Ryan, best and worst of Shooty's era.
Brendan, this is like comparing solid shit to diarrhea, quite frankly.
Okay.
At least diarrhea.
As I've said before, this just wasn't my era. Simple as and even season 2, even though it did have a couple of moments, I was like, okay. I loved the first sort of opening 15 minutes to the well. I was like, okay, I can get on board with this. I liked it, but you could just there was certain, like even Millie Gibson, for example, you can clearly tell that she was meant to be the companion for both seasons. I do not know what happened in between season 1 and season 2. I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash in 20 or 30 years about what happened. But it was all just very disjointed and just daft, really, quite frankly. But yeah, I would rather watch Underworld than watch any of this again. So what does that tell you?
It's honest, that's what we want. I mean, remember, why did I set up this show? Under 35s, RTD said, this is the audience that Doctor Who's captured. Listen to them. RTD, are you sure? Go on, Sonny.
I'll be honest, okay? The only episodes, there's no S episode. The only episode that deserves an A is Dot and Bubble, because it was hilarious, especially the ending. That was funny. And Lux. Those are the only 2 episodes worth their salt. Everything else is a D grade. Honestly, below.
Gosh. I've never felt so underwhelmed after a season, ever.
I've never felt so depressed after a season.
I can tell, but I want to show you that you're not alone. You're not alone, right? Doctor Who's woke, boring, rubbish storylines have caused staggering number of fans to turn off. Now, this is from an opinion poll. Okay, the survey quizzed 2,100 adults and found 42% of current or former fans said it had got worse since its relaunch 2 decades ago, with stories increasingly preachy and worthy. Even 1 in 3 current viewers thinks it's got worse. Plot lines over the past 3 years have featured trans heroines, non-binary baddies, drag queen villains, and the Doctor coming out as gay and crying in most episodes. Lads, you're not alone.
I just feel like they've completely misunderstood the assignment. Doctor Who doesn't need to be this big, crazy, overly complicated thing. It literally just needs to be a guy in a box, goes around doing good, saving worlds, battling monsters and aliens. It doesn't need to be this crazy shit. You know what? Keep it simple. Just keep it simple, and you could have saved this show. But unfortunately, you've now turned it into a complete convoluted shitstone.
I mean, as I come to Sean, I just want to say this because when I watched it again, and it was painful, everybody. So basically, 5 seconds into the show on Saturday, the magic door appeared. That's, a get out of jail card. Then we returned back to 23rd of May in this hocus pocus. Then we found out Anita in the Time Hotel was pregnant. Who cared? I mean, does that add to the narrative? No. Then, of course, we had... oh God, Anita clearly fancied the Doctor because she kept going to stare at the Doctor in different time zones. And then when she saw him with Rogue, she then found a fella called Ricardo. And you thought, oh, here we go again, soap opera. And it just went on. The Rani can't wait for another midnight. Suddenly, the Rani, who's seen 400 versions of the 23rd of May, I've suddenly couldn't wait one more. And I thought, that wasn't explained. So you had all this waffle going on. And then me and Jamie, one of the best lines in Doctor Who of this season, by accident, was, what's happened in this bedroom in suburbia is bigger than anything. Oh, I mean, this is what Shooty's Doctor said. What's happened in this bedroom in suburbia is bigger than anything. I mean, big it up. I mean, is this what husbands do when they get into the bedrooms? This is bigger than bigger than the Palace of the Daleks, love.
I will say one thing though, and actually, well, rather something that Shooty Gatwa didn't say. Whenever he was leaving, and he literally said thank you to every single person, apart from Russell T Davies. I wonder why.
Sean.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and it's such a shame, because all Artie needed to do, genuinely, for me, I can't speak for everybody, he needed to come in, do a couple of specials and a series it was meant to be, but a couple of series of just solid, no fuss Doctor Who. Doesn't have to be amazing, just solid back to what we got in series 1, 2, 3. I'm not asking for the heights of 4. I'm not asking for it. I'll wait for that. Just come in with some solid episodes. You look back, the RTD1 era, what wasn't infallible. Series 1 has the odd episode that isn't great, but come in and all he needed to do was come in, steady the ship. You didn't need to. You just move on from the Geordie era. You don't have to mention the Timeless Children. You ignored it and just gone back to the Doctor saying he was a Time Lord and people would have gone with you. It was such an easy win. It was such an easy win. All you had to do, just come in, solidly write it, get people back and say, look, don't even say it. Just have them back in and say, right, look, we've got a good actor or actress. I don't care. We've written it. It's done. Look at this. Get them back on board, steady the ship. But didn't, because
Sorry, it's really Ryan, go on.
I was just going to say, I forgot to do I was right dance because I was right. Technically, the Daleks did come back.
Yes,
that's not technicality. No.
I was right.
You're not getting it. We're not in court here.
There was a new prop filmed. I was right.
The thing is, Ryan. The thing is, Ryan. Out of that whole episode, my favourite bit was seeing the clip with John Pertwee and Day of the Daleks. That was my favourite bit. Yep. It felt like Doctor Who.
Oh.
Yeah.
But just to help you lads, there was another quotation that me and Jamie were laughing at, and it was the Rani, and the Rani said, "I've provoked the bone beasts." And I thought, do you know what? I've provoked the bone beasts. There you go.
Why was the Doctor and Belinda? Why were they not shocked? Why were they not shocked? Like the Doctor, they set it up canonically, didn't they? That the Doctor in this incarnation is gay. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly with Rogue. And then all of a sudden he finds out that he's lived this, obviously in this wish world. Don't get me started. The wish world was stupid. But this wish world, he slept with his companion. He thinks he's a kid even though he's sterile. I don't understand it either, people. Don't think about it. Why were neither of them oh my God, because if it was just a dream world and there were no consequences, like Donna's dream world, for example, you'd be like, okay, don't matter. And like I said to you, Brendan, on the phone, the Doctor wasn't in that episode, he wasn't trying to find Donna's kids from that world with the moon and the stars and the science lab. He wasn't, and the Doctor in this should have been saying to Belinda, he should have been the one, but he's not the Doctor to say, look, these children don't exist. I would have loved a kid, but it doesn't exist. And you've got this rubbish. Why were neither of them like, oh my God, what have we been doing? Well, obviously not that explicitly, but like, do you know what I mean? It was weird. The no seemed to react to anything.
Well, no, because I think it's. I mean, Sonny, look at this. James Johnson of Polster's Jail Partners said, this is the first ever major poll done on attitudes to Doctor Who, and the results are bleak. Now, I find this interesting because the BBC, I think, behind closed doors, have not guaranteed RTD a future, and are really seriously scrambling, as I said, to do something. The public believe a once great show has lost its way, and their biggest complaint is it puts pursuit of wokeness above entertainment value. And just to finish this off, because I like to be a completionist, if the BBC wants to continue it with an audience once more, they need a total revamp. And to get back to telling entertaining stories rather than preaching lessons that simply do not have an audience among the British public. 46% of current viewers think it puts social justice and woke issues above quality, compared with 37% who believe the show puts quality first. Those who have stopped watching say it puts social justice and woke issues first by a ratio of 3-1. Now, if the BBC clearly have seen that, it's game over. You've heard Sean say it. I've heard Ryan say it. Sonny, are you going to watch a season 3 if it's made? On current predictions?
Season 3 is made. I will watch it because it's gonna be hilarious. I'm not gonna give them a view or any money, but yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Season 3 is gonna be awesome. It's confirmed. That's why she regenerated into Billy.
Not happening.
I think it's as hilarious. And Joe Chapman was saying this, and I know a lot of you are fans. Everybody in the thread, just to tell you and give you forewarning, 6 p.m. on Thursday, our think tanks are special with Disparu. It's Disparu meets the Sensphere, and we're going to go over all this. So if you like and you're a fan of Disparu, well, hello, we all are. And he can be hilarious and funny and witty on Willow and lots of media. Disparu is coming to our door on Thursday at 6 o'clock. So book your seat. Join in. Disparu meets the Sensphere. So it reminded me of that, Sonny, when you said you're going to be there because it'll be hilarious. Yeah. Well, hopefully Thursday you're going to have a laugh, everybody, because we're going to look at this whole era of Doctor Who. And Disparu, as you all know, because we all watch him, is good value. So, yeah, I love that opinion poll because it seems to be on my side.
Well, here's my question. If you think there's going to be a season 3, who do you think is going to fund it?
It would just be the BBC. Just the BBC.
Yeah.
The trouble is,
why would the BBC fund this?
Oh, because they won't put down the cash cow. I think what they'd do, Ryan, is they would do, and I don't want this because this is a death by 1,000 cuts. We used to have, as you know, a series of Doctor Who, like 28 episodes. And as you know, over time, it's got worse. I think they would probably consider doing a few specials a year, which is not Doctor Who. That's useless. But they'll do that.
Well, see, like specials, I could see seasons. I think, as I said, whenever we first started doing this, welcome to the last season of Doctor Who, because I think we just watched it.
Yeah, I think
there will be no season. There won't be a season 3. There'll be maybe specials, but there won't be another full season of Doctor Who.
I'm surprised they're actually even. I'm surprised they're even releasing this between the land and the sea. I thought this might get just put in a corner and ignored, frankly. And did you notice as well that there was no promotion on it to say this is part of the Doctor Who world?
Yeah.
Like, I know Kate was in it, but if you're watching this as someone who doesn't watch Doctor Who anymore, and that's most people, right? It didn't say anything. It didn't say in the Doctor Who world or anything like that. It didn't say universe. It didn't say anything. It was very, very odd. But I think, and I agree with Ryan completely, that I think Doctor Who is essentially finished because like my one of my things I wanted to say was like Doctor Who's not so much throwing the baby out with the bathwater; they've more thrown an industrial sized toaster in the bath. Like it really isn't. There's nothing left to save, in my opinion. The only reason I'd watch series 3 if it ever turns up is if you ask me to, Brendan. That's it. I would have stopped long ago. I would have been like Jeremy from TARDIS Travels. I would have just said, "I'm done with this. It's too much. It's depressing. It's not. I don't want this. Do you know what I mean? I don't want this."
Is it right? Okay, so lads. Just to start to conclude, then it was. Were there any moments in this episode? I'm flicking through here. I mean, I have struggled because yes, I agree with Sean. I like the music to a point. I didn't like the Rani music. It just got on my wick. It's like Sonny, I thought you'd be at home here with your pirate ship. I mean, it was like suddenly, it was like the tower you could turn. Why? Why don't they just have more guns?
It's funny you said that. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed that scene, but I didn't mind it because I was looking at the pirate ship wheel and I was going, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
The thing is, they designed that.
I was kind of entertained at that, but it's very illogical.
But yeah, they designed that building to turn around and go into battle mode and everything. But the building literally has to half collapse for it to do that. Not a great design.
No. But you see, who, and we've said this earlier today, but you have to keep repeating it. Who is saying to RTD before they give him a check for 10,000 for this and 200,000 for this part of the episode and this special effect here, saying, is it necessary? Excuse me, what, this tower has this turret? What are we doing? Sean, have you got any theories about... I can't believe he gets such a blank check to do all this.
I mean, again, like we talked about the other day, like it's sad because there's glimpses of what could be decent Doctor. Like, those creatures look brilliant, but there's just no substance behind it. There was one little scene, they tried to give Shooty a bit of gravitas at the end. It didn't really work. But the one scene that I really liked, and I was like, oh my God, that's like Doctor Who. It felt like something from the Moffat era. And I know I didn't like the poppy stuff, but it was that scene where they were in the TARDIS and Millie Gibson stood by the cot, Ruby Sunday stood by the cot, and the Doctor and Belinda are passing between them Poppy's little coat. And as they passed it back and forwards, it got smaller and smaller until it disappeared. And it was like, oh, I like that. That felt like something from like a Moffat era, it was like a really creepy, quite dark moment that they'd forgotten, and I liked it. And I thought, right, there was something there, but I mean, to be fair, like somebody said I'm like Tony Stark in the cave. I'm working with scraps here, people, so I am clutching at microscopic straws. But I did like that bit, to be honest.
What got me, Ryan, is we're all Doctor Who fans. There wasn't much in the episode. This bit here with the bone beasts, I applaud for the visual effects, but it's felt a bit Star Wars. I mean, it wasn't used in a Doctor Who-ish way. The bit that got me, as it always does a Doctor Who fan, is, oh my gosh, we're going to have a regeneration. So you watch it, and then I'm underwhelmed. So even the regeneration bit I didn't like. And I've heard so many people, even those who always say Doctor Who's amazing, who I said, oh, it was underwhelming, the ending. So for me, it just didn't have enough of the rhythm and the soul of Doctor Who. What about you?
No, I completely agree. And the last couple of seasons, visually, yes, they have looked very glitzy, glamour, whatever. Personally, I don't like Doctor Who like that. I don't think Doctor Who should all be very bright lit and all very clean looking. But yeah, you can see money has obviously been spent. Does it look better than Jodie Whittaker's era? That's to be argued with. Even though I'm not a fan of Jodie's era, I think it was more cinematic than what the last two seasons have been, to be quite honest. But yeah, some of the visual effects have been pretty damn good for a show that's on the BBC. But there's no substance behind it at all. There is no substance behind it at all. Like, this does not feel like Doctor Who anymore. It literally just feels like some other program with the Doctor Who logo slapped on it, with the police box on it. Because realistically, the logo and the TARDIS is really the only recognisable parts of this show now.
Yeah. And finally, Sonny.
It really is Odysseus. They're skinwalking. None of the dots are being connected, which is why the finale just fell so flat. And of course, there's too many, I want to say, like, interesting villains, I guess. But like, I just wish we focused on the bone monsters. I think those are the most interesting thing you're going to get, and the only thing that can cause jeopardy to people. And that's where all the money went anyway, right? So like, the Ronnie's in the way, Omega's in the way, Poppy's in the way.
I don't know why I should ever watch Doctor Who in the future if it was served like that. Because while you know, if you're living in the moment, we actually had a cliffhanger. You're living in the moment going, oh, this is, gosh, how's he going to get out of this? Oh, some woman from the Time Hotel's going to appear. Why would I bother watching? I can't see any entertainment reason to watch Doctor Who now when they've come up with so much clever ass get out of jail cards. In classic Who, you were stuck in a situation, robots of death, you're stuck on the sand miner. Sorry, the Time Hotel doesn't have a door. Why didn't it appear? I tell you what, you know, everybody, I do my reviews of classic Who, and I always say, what would the shooty doctor do? I've got a new segment. I've just thought of it. I'll say, if the Time Hotel door appears, where would it appear? Because it would ruin every classic story. What's the point? It's a cheat. It's a cop-out. It's lazy. It's shorthand. Meanwhile, RTD is probably the best paid Doctor Who writer in the history of the programme. Give me your blank check. It's shocking.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Doctor Who.
Yes.
Who was it who wrote? And this is how. Oh yeah, Conrad. Thanks, Sonny. Right, I was surprised.
Yeah.
Conrad's wrap up. He was the best character in the whole thing. Actually had a coherent. I think he did it by accident, to be honest. Like a raffle, like winning a raffle. It was the fact I liked the bit where Ruby was the best character. There was the bit where Ruby said to him, and I was really surprised because I said this to Brennan. It felt like, and I'm not religious, but it felt about a very. I mean, I don't know much religions. I learned Christianity at schools. It felt very Christian to be like about redemption and forgiveness. And it was the bit where she was like, "I want you to have a happy life. That's my wish." And I thought, God, that's surprisingly grown up for Doctor Who. And then it turned out that he was not a nobody in that respect, but he was just an everyday person working in a cafe. He was married or whatever. And I thought, that's really like a really kind of nice message to say, like, okay, somebody, you know, you can essentially. You know, it could be a good person, like, you know, type thing. Yeah, I know it's a bit all over the place, but they ruined it because like characters acted differently, like they were two different people. Like, and then later on the episode, Ruby's like, "If I wishes to come true, you made the bloody wish, and now like your money it came true." It was just bizarre. Yeah, but it's like me going, "Oh, I love." Sorry, yeah, go on, mate, go on.
No, they completely changed what Ruby Sunday was, because she suddenly was this therapist for Conrad. I mean, you've got to remember, I was listing it again tonight. I mean, forget the magic door. We've said that too many times. The transmat. I'm going to biosync you so that you can be transmatted up to the Bone Palace. And remember, why did she have that bone jet ski, the Rani, if she could transmat in anywhere? And how
could you literally pick this entire thing apart? Like, literally every single bit of this can be pulled apart.
That's CGI. Yeah, that CGI was terrible of him going on the Thames. That must have been it. It was awful. And they used, I said it was like a poor man's stolen earth. And then they used Project Indigo. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, you know, the thing that Martha used. I was like, oh my God, like, come on. It was like the thing with the magic door. It's like Russell, If you don't want to write Doctor Who anymore, give it to somebody else. That's fine. You did well the first time round. Give it to somebody else. That's fine. Just give it to somebody who wants to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you think it's dead clever to poke fun, like, oh my God, he's actually got a magic door. That little minx, or whatever she said. You know, yeah.
I will actually say one thing, though, before we do wrap up, though. Sorry to sound all gushy. The one good thing that came out of watching this season was I got to do this with you guys. So thank you very much, Brendan, for having me on and putting up with my nonsense.
No, it's been a pleasure. And by the way, because some people start to feel in the thread that we're saying this is the final one. Well, we've had a chat earlier. I don't think it will be the final one, but we'll have to obviously tweak which topics and stuff. Jess here, who's a writer.
I need therapy.
It's definitely the end of a chapter. It's definitely the end of a chapter.
Jess here, who's a writer, I think we, the true fans of Doctor Who, would give an apology to those who are not in the UK who have watched all that trash of Doctor Who, the ones who got paid millions to deliver the worst Doctor Who ever. Jess, I'll add to that. What about those poor people who did nothing wrong at Bad Wolf, who were the runners, the floor assistants, the artists, the visual effects, the music, the extras, all costume? No, none of them did anything wrong. I can't knock what we really saw. Doctor Who is still always trying to do more than it gets for its budget. And yet they were let down by the main person. That's the problem. And he should be apologising. Because, of course, as they said, we discussed this weeks ago, when the suspicion was Doctor Who was axed. What did the Sun newspaper say? It had a quotation. And one of the insiders said, the big bods, go on to another job. RTD's already doing a Channel 4 drama. He's not out of work. But the people who work for Bad Wolf at the bottom, who've been making Doctor Who, now are looking for work. And I think that is such a sadness because they've done nothing wrong.
Can I echo that as well, Brendan? That I think it is a shame because those people, I've no doubt the people who created the sets, the costumes, as much as I didn't like some of them, they worked bloody hard to get this done. I've no doubt, even with the Disney money, I've heard, we talked to Rachel, chat about it, don't chat about it. It's difficult in that industry. I'm not in it, but it's difficult. Like any others, they're always scrambling to get done. And I think it is a shame. And I think it's been a pleasure to come to Sense Sphere, and it's been over a year now, and I'm loving it. And I hope this becomes what other YouTube channels became to me when I was watching that Whittaker era, and yet I was reading reviews because I wasn't into the podcast and I wasn't into the internet much, if you know what I mean. And I was reading the newspapers, and they were saying how amazing the show was, and then I was thinking, am I watching the same thing? Because you think you're going mad. And I went on YouTube and I found like your heel versus baby faces, then you find your Disparoos, and you go, okay, so it's not just me. I don't 100% agree with everything anybody says, but you go, okay, so I'm not the only one. I'm not going mad. So I hope if these little streams are fun for people and they can feel like it's not them going mad.
that was it's so hard with this time. It was so. This was partly why it was inspired. It was a hobby after retiring, and really since I retired, I've been straight into this. And I wanted to think a bit like we did with lockdown, when basically you couldn't meet people. I always imagined, what's it like to meet Doctor Who fans from across the world? Obviously, we can't afford to be all meeting, but I've had the pleasure of meeting Ryan, and that'll happen again. But what I wanted to say is we've made a lot of friends in the thread. Jess, for example, I'd love Jess to come on and talk and share her ideas. Jo Chapman, who I talked to today, I think she's tentatively said she'll come on. Building a community. And as Jo Chapman said to me, she said, Brendan, you won't keep doing these streams like others are. I'm not the only one. There's lots around. But if we keep showing our agenda, if we keep kind of giving our ideas, if we keep saying how Doctor Who could be, should be, somebody might eventually think, hold on a minute here. Hold on. How come die-hard fans are given us a different prospectus? And it wouldn't take one, it needs a lot of us. It needs a lot of our channels to keep saying how this unique program could be saved if somebody stopped being a charlatan, stopped being lazy, stopped milking the past and plundering the past, and starts using their imaginative brain. And if there's no imagination there, give it to somebody else.
Yeah. It's a
So,
shame because sorry, the
go on.
bloody lag.
So,
This
go on.
I think it's a shame because God bless Doctor Who fans. Like, we could come on here and just absolutely rip it one every week because it is that bad. This isn't just bad. This is M&S bad. It really is. And we try. We really do try, and we don't always agree. Sonny likes Miss Flood. I can't stand her. I like your Ruby Sunday. I don't think other people are that much fans, but we desperately try, even when we disagree, to to like pick out bits we liked, and we're forever looking for that little chink of light, that little bit to say, oh, this is still a bit of Doctor Who I'm watching. Never mind the 45 minutes I watched, it was terrible. That one moment I really liked, and just a shame it couldn't be. You know, we really are like we people think we're being negative or you're just hating on the show. No, we love it. We want it to be good, because if we didn't care, we wouldn't watch and wouldn't talk about it. So we do try, and you can see people in the chat.
Be sitting here on a flipping Tuesday night at 10:30.
We did
like really passionate talking about it.
Yes,
or in the morning, as Sunny is.
You can't buy passion. You can't invent passion, and it's a shame that they have misused the passion of the fans. It's an amazing franchise to be in charge of. I can't believe they've toyed and experimented and played with it so much and indulged themselves and broken the brand. That's what bothers me. But don't worry, everybody. We will still be here, because I understand when you build a network and people need to talk these things through. Remember, Disparu on Thursday. I think that's going to be, event TV. Disparu meets the Sense Sphere. Not for the first time, actually. Thank you. But he's a good lad, so that I'm going to prepare that tomorrow, big time. I am in the Village of the Damned. Electric could go off. I could be absolutely stuffed, but I'll try my best. But it's very decent of him to come on, so please, standing room only on Thursday. And obviously, I'll also be preparing my love letter to Doctor Who, starting with the Sea Devils, clips, etc. So join us for that, and Detox on Friday. Actually, I thought I was going to slow down this week. I don't think I am. So please, there's a lot to join in on, and the lads have already said they're happy to come back. So we'll have a discussion about what the content will be, because they all want to be passionate. They don't want to keep coming on saying all this, because RTD has served up the dross. So Ryan, obviously 3D Titan Studios.
Yeah, Titan Studios 3D. Go on, give us a like. Check out some of the stuff we're doing. But yeah, just to reiterate again, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to everybody in the chat as well for being really supportive and very welcoming and very nice. I hope I've entertained you. Sadly, not much entertainment out of me this evening, because I'm literally depressed. But go back and watch last week's episode. That was quite fun. I wasn't even put on the naughty step this week, Brendan. That's how boring I was this week.
I think the naughty steps collapsed with all the pressure. Sean, tell us about your channel, of course.
Yeah, so my podcast is Review It Yourself. It's film reviews without the faff. And basically, me and my co-host Sarah, we do film reviews. It's weekly. There's quite a lot of Doctor Who stuff on there, to be fair. The best place to find it is wherever you get your podcasts. Basically, just as you hear me here, a bit more sweary. And I don't have Brendan to control me, so it goes all over the shop. But yeah, it's film reviews. There's been some great episodes that have come out recently. We've just done Commando. We've been doing some historical stuff. So we've been talking about the new Titan submersible show that's going to come out on Netflix, and we're talking about that because Titanic's like, that'll be my mastermind subject, will be Titanic. So there's a lot of historical stuff on there as well. But anything and everything, there's all sorts coming up. We're going to go back and do some classic Quatermass in the Pit. I'm going to go back and do BBC's adaptation from the 70s of 1984. But alongside other things, Black Hawk Down, Final Destination Bloodline, some more modern stuff. I'm not a big fan of the modern stuff. It's rubbish, as you probably all know. But yeah, 3.5 years been going. There's 300 odd episodes over there. I'm like Brendan. I'm forever, as I'm forever doing stuff. But obviously, it's a podcast recording's a bit all behind the scenes till it comes out. But yeah, but I'd like to say, like Ryan said, thank you to like everybody here, Sonny, Ryan, Brendan, and to everybody in the chat. Sounds like a eulogy, doesn't it? But it's not.
Sounds like
Thank
the
you for
Oscars.
like joining us on this. Oh yeah, yeah.
I thank
But,
you, Mum and Dad.
thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Chris Lawley, thank you. He says thank you to all of us for the therapy I need after all this. That's why we'll have the detox on Friday. But I think the Disparu one might cheer everybody up. If he's anything like he is on his channel with his humor and his wit and his intelligence. So hopefully Disparu cheers you up when he meets the Sense Sphere. And on Friday, the Aussie detoxers who they're almost as bad as these three, that you can't control anybody. So thank you to the thread. We're becoming friends. Like I said, I was talking to Joe today, and there'll be more the merrier. If you want to come on, join us. We're not going anywhere. So thank you, Ryan. Like I said, we'll be back in Belfast and we'll meet the gang. Sunny, one day I'll get over in America and I'll certainly meet you all, Divine and Dragon, a lot of you. And obviously I see
And we'll have a time.
I see too much of Sean. In fact, sometimes I bump into him at Christmas. It's like shocking. But yeah, good to see you all, and thanks for your time. And of course, can I thank our moderators, Garbage and Divine and Dragon, who are working like Trojans. They're advertising all your channels. They're keeping everybody spick and span, and I can't do it without you. So it's a community. Thank you, everybody. I hope we've cheered you up just by being. See you Thursday, 6 o'clock, standing room only. You better get your tickets. Disparu's coming. Bye.
Bye. Cheers, everyone. For Christ, that's over.